accountability to the public, and ensure the safety of all. He placed a reassuring hand on the young officer's shoulder and continued, "Young man, one of the most crucial skills for a police officer is the ability to gather intelligence. By observing that individual's words and actions, I can ascertain that this is likely his first offense. We must not pressure him at this juncture. If we corner him, he may resort to desperate measures. For now, we must align with his rhythm, while subtly laying traps, for ultimately, it is merely a matter of time before we capture him." The young officer's eyes sparkled with admiration. "Sheriff, your wisdom is an endless lesson." Sheriff Blake waved him off. "Go attend to your duties." Inside the bank, the manager, following instructions, filled 2 burlap sacks with cash without tying them shut. After watching the bank manager complete the task, Su Yunzhou smiled, secured the bags, and donned one himself. As time passed, he had released a total of 16 hostages. Only a few minutes remained before the 3-hour mark. At that moment, Su Yunzhou received a system notification. The train will arrive at the street entrance of the bank, approximately 3 meters above ground. Please prepare accordingly. Train departure countdown, 14 minutes and 42 seconds. Su Yunzhou sighed. As anticipated, the escape will not be so straightforward. However, this haul from the bank amounts to a considerable sum. Naturally, Su Yunzhou did not merely take items from the employee cafeteria. He gathered anything he deemed useful. It could be said that the most superfluous item in the bank for him was the knife. Thus, he prepared to orchestrate a grand finale for the citizens of the crime-ridden city. As the last hostage with a burlap sack emerged, an armored vehicle had already positioned itself at the bank's entrance. Taking advantage of the cover provided by the vehicle and the hostages, Su Yunzhou discreetly loosed a crossbow bolt into the sky, unseen by the police. It is indeed the enchanted crossbow bolt of the holy silver magic crossbow, its power rivaling that of an ordinary sniper bullet. However, at this moment, this bolt is tethered with several bags of cash. Consequently, it is destined to fall short, ascending merely 3 or 4 stories before plummeting swiftly to the ground. The sound of rustling green bills fills the air as they flutter down. People begin to revel, heedless of the dangers, rushing past the police cordon to frantically snatch the money scattered on the ground. In a capitalist society, money is everything, as it can procure all, including status and power. An increasing number of ordinary citizens, swept up in a frenzy, surge into the area designated by the police, desperately seizing the cash. At this moment, Su Yunzhou also leads a group of hostages, their heads covered with burlap sacks, as they burst from the bank. "Stop those hostages. Do not let them escape among the crowd." Sheriff Blake reacts swiftly. This group of hostages, cloaked in burlap, could easily be mingled with the throng, allowing the criminals to vanish into the chaos. Yet the street outside the bank is already in disarray. Simultaneously, a notification chimes in Su Yunzhao's ear. "Due to your actions, the chaos level in the Sin City has increased. Chaos level 100, chaos level 100, chaos level 100. Hidden storyline triggered. Tommy Vercetti's terror attack." Tommy Vercetti is a formidable figure, impervious to harm, capable of acquiring heavy firepower and summoning tanks within the Sin City. In this form, Tommy is nearly invincible. Of course, the police force in Sin City is formidable as well, with an unending supply of patrol cars and helicopters, alongside an inexhaustible number of officers and armed forces. At this moment, Tommy is driving a tank, barreling down the street from the opposite end. Indeed, he is operating a tank. With a resounding boom, a shell is fired, causing a distant building to collapse, resulting in countless casualties among the populace. Damn it! Sheriff Blake realizes that it is no longer the time to deal with bank robbers. He immediately reallocates police and armed forces to swiftly intercept and apprehend the tank. Amidst the chaos, a peculiar ringing sound quietly emerges. It is like the last straw that breaks the camel's back, causing the officers present, who were once able to maintain control, to crumble mentally. Ghostly bell, type, item, quality, ordinary, effect. Gently shaking the bell will allow enemies to hear the haunting wails of restless spirits, diminishing their mental fortitude. In truth, the effectiveness of this item is quite limited. Even ordinary individuals, upon hearing the bell, may feel overwhelming fear, yet will not reach the point of being frightened to death. However, with the entire street already in turmoil, the situation spirals further out of control. As the bell tolled, even the last remaining officers began to lose their composure. In the distance, tanks slowly advanced, mercilessly crushing those civilians who could not escape into mere pulp. Yet, the fluttering banknotes attracted a throng of oblivious onlookers. Rushing towards the scene, the once spacious street was now a chaotic throng, impassable and filled with the sounds of despair and relentless rumbling. In this critical moment, a train emerged, gliding through the night sky. It lacked tracks, hovering 3 to 4 meters above the ground. No one could discern whence it came or whither it was bound. Suddenly, a youth adorned with a pitch-black mask leaped effortlessly into the open door of the train. The door then shut, and the train resumed its slow departure. No one attempted to halt its exit, as they were preoccupied with their own survival. Chapter 62. The Shit Mountain Code of Hakimi. Acquired Green Treasure, Chest 1. Your recent actions have incited minor chaos in this world. However, you concealed your identity, thus evading the attention of higher beings. Suyinjo scrutinized the 2 newly appeared notifications, furrowing his brow. Something felt amiss. Indeed, it was profoundly so. These messages bore no resemblance to system prompts. They lacked the essence of AI and instead echoed the tone of that enigmatic figure. Contemplating this, he cautiously tapped the notifications. In an instant, the letters began to writhe like ants, scattering before reassembling into a few prominent words. Hee. Quite perceptive indeed. Observer? Su Yinzhou inquired tentatively. Spare me your words. I cannot hear you. Next stop, Pingran Village. I shall provide you with compensation at the 7th station. With that, the text vanished entirely. Su Yinzhou pondered the implications of these phrases. Even as a judge, could the observer of this survival game not intervene directly? Should he venture to Pingran Village? The compensation mentioned at the 7th station was unmistakably linked to the underhanded tactics employed by Yi Feng's mysterious ally during the death duel, was it not? If his intuition served him well, that figure was none other than the so-called mother of breeding. Su Yunzhou sighed resignedly. If only I could avoid becoming an adversary of a deity. Yet, given the circumstances, he harbored no illusions of a peaceful resolution. Furthermore, he had not instigated any trouble. It was Yi Feng who had sought him out. Speaking of Yi Feng, what was his current state? After inflicting such injuries upon him, he wondered if Yi Feng had recuperated. He had not seen him active in the chat room lately. Hearing her leader's musings, Fina lifted her head. Why concern yourself with him? That self-absorbed narcissist, ugh. Su Yinzhou gently pressed her head down. All right, enough chatter. Continue eating. Meanwhile, within Yi Feng's train, he lay silently on the train floor, his eyes vacant, his expression contorted in agony, and his limbs convulsing uncontrollably, disheveled and bearing the marks of various humiliations. He also bore significant injuries. Though the wound had long since numbed from pain, Yi Feng understood that if he did not staunch the bleeding soon, he would surely succumb to death. With trembling hands, he reached down between his legs. Nothing remained. Indeed, it was gone. In that instant, memories surged back, of how he had lost it and how he might reclaim it. Overwhelmed by the thought, Yi Feng could not suppress his nausea. Ugh. Ugh, ugh, ugh. Fina rose to rinse her mouth, then proceeded to fill Hakimi's bowl with cat food. Shortly after, she witnessed a scene that left her utterly bewildered. The little black cat, scratching an itch on the floor, suddenly began to gnaw at its own hind leg. The cat's mouth and leg engaged in a fierce struggle, alternating between kicking and biting. Boss, it seems Hakimi is unwell. Su Yunzhou glanced over, preoccupied with his own tasks, casually explaining, it's a normal phenomenon. There's no need to pay it any mind. Is that so? Fina probed further. Su Yunzhou began to elaborate. Fina, you must understand that cats are essentially a jumble of coded commands. Even Hakimi, possessing a basic level of intelligence, cannot overcome its inherent coding flaws. Do you comprehend what I mean by code? I happened to find a dictionary at the bank. You might find it helpful in grasping some modern terminologies. As he sketched on the ground with chalk, he continued his explanation. Hakimi's recent antics were simply a misfire of its self-defense programming while scratching an itch, causing it to kick its own face, which it interpreted as an attack, triggering a counter-response. After biting its leg and feeling pain, it further confirmed the supposed threat and initiated another defensive maneuver, leading to the spectacle you see now. Fina, only partially understanding, glanced back at Hakimi, still embroiled in its battle with its leg. So, what should we do now, boss? Oh, you merely need to insert a command to halt its current behavior. Hakimi, attention. The black cat immediately stood at attention. But after a moment of silence and no further commands, it lay back down to rest. Su Yinzhou approached, and picked up the little black cat. Despite being a pet of exceptional caliber, with remarkable abilities and an understanding of many of my commands, its intellect still seemed akin to that of a simple-minded creature. He tapped Hakimi gently on the forehead. Why do you still exhibit such foolishness? Perhaps I should allocate your next silver point. It hardly seems fair for you to be so dim-witted. When faced with an incoming threat, you should instinctively evade rather than charge headlong into it. Though spoken lightly, Su Yinzhou held a deep affection for this cat. No matter how foolish it may be, the devotion to protect one's pet unwaveringly remains. Glancing at the little black cat, Su Yinzhou was suddenly reminded of someone strikingly similar to this silly feline, Wu Shuang. Regardless of the circumstances, Wu Shuang's combat prowess was truly formidable. Su Yinzhou even felt uncertain about his ability to best her in a confrontation. Yet, it was undeniable that she could be quite dim-witted. Without Su Yinzhou's guidance, she would have been oblivious to the white treasure chest concealed within the monster's carcass. Over the past few days, Su Yinzhou had taken the time to impart numerous fundamental principles to Wu Shuang. For instance, supermarkets could be ransacked at will. Strange potions should never be mistaken for beverages, and Su Yinzhou's advice was always in her best interest. At this juncture, one might question the appropriateness of Su Yinzhou's manipulation of the innocent girl. Does he possess no conscience? Indeed, he does. Meanwhile, Fina was rummaging through the refrigerator, inquiring about Su Yinzhou's meal plans for the day. Boss, these ingredients should last us about 10 days if we ration them properly. Then she asked, by the way, should we allocate some vegetables this time? Su Yinzhou nodded in agreement. As previously mentioned, Wu Shuang possessed the strength to effortlessly vanquish large beasts, often referred to as magical creatures. The meat from these beasts, once dried, could be preserved for a considerable time, even without refrigeration. Hence, Wu Shuang was not lacking in meat. However, she lacked vegetables, despite the fact that most people were simply grateful to have enough to eat. Su Yinzhou still procured canned fruits and vegetables, proposing a trade with Wu Shuang. After packing some of the vegetables from the fridge, he sent another trade request to her. However, this time, she hesitated to accept the offer. A sense of unease gripped Su Yinzhou. Could something have gone awry? Chapter 63. Sword Chi Pill, Graduate Research Recommendation Pill. Wu Shuang. No, Suge, this time, I don't have any equipment. Su Yinzhou chuckled and replied, no worries, we can make up for it next time. Just save today's vegetables. Each day, he would only provide a limited amount. On one hand, this was due to Wu Shuang's lack of means to store food. On the other hand, Su Yinzhou was subtly fostering her dependence on him. From this perspective, he was indeed not a paragon of virtue. However, this was predicated on the notion that Su Yinzhou harbored no intentions of being responsible toward Wu Shuang. Should he later assume the appropriate responsibilities, then his current actions might be deemed rather noble. At that moment, Wu Shuang sent another message. But this time, I obtained this. Attachment, green treasure chest. Wait for me. Once I open the treasure chest, I will have equipment. Su Yinzhou chuckled softly. It seems this girl has finally struck gold, managing to acquire a green treasure chest. He approached the situation with a spirit of experimentation. Go ahead and open it. I have good luck, and whatever I find will be returned to you. In truth, even if Wu Shuang were to be naive, she could not possibly acquiesce to such a request. Although she may be foolish, she understands the worth of a green treasure chest. It would not be an exaggeration to say that this item could directly enhance the survival rate for the upcoming challenges on the train. Moreover, Su Yinzhou could offer no binding guarantee. He could easily retract his promise without consequence. After all, even those Su Yinzhou trusts implicitly would not part with a green treasure chest under such circumstances. To draw a comparison, even with Fina and Hakimi, who had become his beloved companions, he would not disclose to them that he possessed the talent for enhancement. However, Su Yinzhou, an orphan who had grown up without parents, could never comprehend the thoughts of an innocent girl nurtured in an environment of sincerity and kindness. Wu Shuang exclaimed, "Thank you, Brother Su." In reality, the train had already traversed 10 stations. Individuals as naive as Wu Shuang would either have been swindled out of everything or met with dire fates. The only reason Wu Shuang could maintain such an innocent optimism was that she had solely engaged in transactions with Su Yinzhou, who had never broken his word. It is worth noting that while I refer to keeping one's promise, this does not imply that Su Yinzhou was devoid of deception, manipulation, or intimidation. Thus, Wu Shuang still held an unwavering trust in Su Yunjue. He was the first person she encountered in this unfamiliar environment who was willing to exchange food with her and had taught her much, continuing to trade precious provisions even now. In her heart, Wu Shuang mused, "He is warm. I am crying." This unconditional trust in Su Yunjue would persist until the moment he uttered a certain phrase. Returning to the present, when Su Yunjue received a green treasure chest, he was taken aback. "You've truly broadened your horizons," he thought, chuckling and shaking his head in resignation. What more could he say, given her temperament? Could he really part with a single bronze point? After bestowing the green treasure chest with a point, Su Yunjue opened it, discovering 3 energy crystals and 3 items. Among them was a perfect-grade consumable. Spirit sword pill. Type: consumable quality. Perfect effect. Contains formidable sword energy, usable in 2 ways. Instantly unleash a vast amount of sword energy, creating a multitude of fierce sword strikes that indiscriminately inflict damage. Gradually absorb the sword energy within the spirit sword pill to enhance the user's mastery and understanding of swordsmanship. Description: a special elixir produced by the Celestial Sword sect, requiring a high-ranking sword immortal to infuse it with sword energy. Each spirit sword pill is inscribed with the emblem of the Celestial Sword sect and a cautionary note. High-risk item. Handle with care. Subsequently, Su Yunzhou returned all the items obtained from the treasure chest to Wu Shuang. This action reveals Su Yunzhou's principles. One might label him as selfish, cunning, or even despicable. Yet he remains steadfast in his promises. This, indeed, is his moral boundary. On the other hand, Wu Shuang, upon receiving the returned items, was utterly astonished. For the sword Chi pill held immense significance for her. She had always regarded the sword as her most vital companion in battle, and her extensive training in swordsmanship fostered a profound emotional connection to it. The survival game on the train had fully awakened her latent potential, transforming her from a mere inheritor of swordsmanship into a truly extraordinary individual with a spiritual affinity for the sword. In the realm of comic book universes, she could easily be compared to legendary figures such as Batman, Spider-Man, or Iron Man. In the context of Dolua continent, she possessed innate soul power and a supreme martial soul. Naturally, Su Yunzhou was aware of Wu Shuang's background. It seemed that this naive girl considered him a confidant and shared everything with him. Had he been inclined, he could have inquired about the color and style of her undergarments. At this moment, Su Yunzhou turned his gaze towards his own green treasure chest, pondering if it might yield a perfect-grade elixir as well. His expectations were modest. He merely desired a point-enhancing pill that would allow him to generate a bronze point in an instant. With that thought, he opened the green treasure chest one. Inside lay a rather ordinary piece of excellent grade equipment. A scorpion pistol. He decided to keep it for now, assessing whether anyone might want it. If no suitable offer arose, he would simply dispose of it in the recycling machine. However, he was pleasantly surprised to find a perfectly round, pink elixir. Its quality was indeed perfect. Could it be the research recommendation pill? Type: consumable quality, perfect effect. Upon use, grants admission to the nearest prestigious university's graduate program. Description: a concept-level elixir crafted over a lifetime. Data has been corrupted and is no longer accessible. Su Yunzhou stared in disbelief at the elixir in his hand. What on earth is this? Is this truly of perfect quality? Does this thing even have any utility? Ultimately, he decided to stow it away in his backpack. Of course, he had no intention of using bronze points to enhance such a peculiar item. It seemed utterly nonsensical. Nevertheless, this discovery further corroborated one of his hypotheses. He then glanced at the magical array he had drawn using his spiritual energy in chalk. However, this array was not of the traditional Eastern fantasy or cultivation worldview. Rather, it was a Western black magic array intended for summoning demons. Meanwhile, Fina continued to hum a tune, cheerfully preparing today's meal, when suddenly, a brilliant flash of blood erupted behind her. The entire carriage was stained a deep crimson. Fina turned her head and beheld the blood-red array, her face filled with terror. What grand scheme was her master concocting this time? Chapter 64. The Succubus High Priestess Lilith. Despite the alarming scene, Su Yunzhou maintained an expression of calm indifference. He then turned to Fina and said, "Come here and begin reciting this passage." Fina took the slip of paper handed to her by Su Yunzhou and instinctively began to read aloud. "O great evil god from the abyss, we venerate your malevolence and chaos." She abruptly halted, exclaiming, "Master, are you summoning an evil god?" Her awareness stemmed from her previous experience of summoning a deity. Though the procedures differed somewhat, they were fundamentally similar. Su Yinzhou shook his head. "I am not summoning that trivial little octopus you once did. I intend to invoke a true, transdimensional entity. Do not inquire further, just continue reciting. O you, embodiment of supreme wisdom, source of endless beauty, great evil being, succubus high priestess Lilith, I chant your name, beseeching you to descend beside me." In the next moment, a diminutive figure appeared within the array. This succubus girl, with silvery white hair cascading nearly to her knees, bore an adorable yet somewhat aloof expression, her small face taut. She wore a dark teal jacket over a white shirt, complemented by a black pencil skirt, cinched at the waist with a black belt. Additionally, she draped a deep gray coat over her shoulders, donned purple knee-high stockings paired with deep purple knee-high boots, and sported a pair of retractable purple demon wings at her waist. After a prolonged silence of several seconds, the succubus spoke. "Human, why have you summoned me?" Su Yinzhou tentatively inquired. "Could we switch to a modern dialogue mode?" Lilith paused for 2 seconds, crossed her arms, and fluttered her wings behind her. "It seems this retro-style succubus is not held in high regard. Let me think." Then she adopted a haughty demeanor. "Hey, you insignificant human, speak quickly. What is your purpose in summoning me?" Su Yinzhou and Fina exchanged glances, and Hakimi interjected, "For a long while now. Can we not communicate normally?" Su Yinzhou offered Lilith a chair. "Please take a seat." Lilith straightened her posture. "So, human, what exactly is your aim?" "You must understand that summoning a powerful succubus high priestess like myself requires the acknowledgement of chaos and evil, and each summoning consumes such recognition." As she spoke, Lilith scrutinized Su Yinzhou from head to toe. "You lack the recognition of chaos and evil." Her gaze then shifted to Fina. To her surprise, a rare look of astonishment crossed her youthful face. Could you possibly be a saintess of cult? How do you possess so much acknowledgement of chaos and evil?" Upon hearing these words, Fina found herself momentarily at a loss. "I am not a saintess of a cult, and I am certainly no longer a saintess." Meanwhile, Su Yunzhou's gaze wandered, as he could surmise the chaotic and nefarious acknowledgement that Fina had received, likely a consequence of his own actions. Subsequently, Lilith turned her attention back to Su Yunzhou. "My duration is limited to merely an hour, and I possess almost no combat prowess. Additionally, it is worth noting that demons do not offer charity. They only engage in transactions." Su Yunzhou promptly responded, "Sisterly, I am well acquainted with the rules of the trade." Lilith's lips twitched slightly. "What is this sisterly nonsense? So why have you summoned me? If you wish to engage in a trade, what leverage do you possess?" Su Yunzhou chuckled. "Well, I have a few questions I wish to pose, and I opted to summon an intelligent high-ranking entity. Among demons, only a succubus could afford the necessary bargaining chip." Upon hearing this, Lilith instinctively cast her gaze downward. However, she soon shook her head. "I apologize, but I am a purest succubus. If this is the extent of your offerings for a transaction, then I fear we have little to discuss." Su Yinzhou appeared unfazed. "Ah, what a pity. But fear not. We shall have many opportunities. I can attempt to summon a succubus who is not a purist." Before he could finish, Lilith interrupted him, her tone tinged with a hint of sharpness. "Are you aware that among all the transcendent succubi, I am the only one with intelligence?" Su Yunzhou's eyes reflected a naive clarity. "I do not know. How could I possibly be aware of such matters?" Frankly speaking, with a gesture of surrender, he continued, "Through my previous experiences, I have garnered a rough understanding of the laws governing the myriad worlds. In this desolate expanse, countless overlapping dimensions can exist. Even the films, literature, or mere memes from Blue Star may manifest in another realm among the infinite worlds." Lilith remained non-committal to this assertion. "Then, I speculate that the more renowned and influential the entities from Blue Star, the more powerful the corresponding world projected in the vast multiverse." Su Yinzhou stroked his chin thoughtfully. "My last stop was set in a backdrop known as the City of Sin. This game's city is, in fact, an ordinary world devoid of any superpowers. Yet, due to its prominence on Blue Star, it can even incorporate elements of superheroes." At this point, Lilith interjected, "I see, this human conductor. You are indeed astute, and have successfully uncovered a fundamental tenet of the multiverse." Su Yinzhou responded with a smile. "Is it true that belief renders truth?" Lilith shook her head. It should be more accurately stated that where belief is abundant, there reigns power. For instance, you merely need to convince hundreds of millions, even billions of beings, that you embody the concept of a deity. In that moment, you would ascend to divinity, soaring effortlessly into the ethereal realm. Suddenly, a thunderous resonance erupted within Su Yunzhou's mind, as a myriad of colorful, scintillating orbs flickered before his eyes. Some were no larger than specks of dust, while others resembled basketballs in size. He could not reach them, and their numbers were sparse, appearing intermittently within the moving train. Turning his gaze to the desolate expanse outside the window, he observed countless tiny orbs floating and moving in disarray. Truly, it echoed the saying, "Wild horses and dust alike are stirred by the breath of heaven and earth." Lilith then spoke. "It appears you too can perceive the power of faith. Strive to gather this power. With approximately 1,000 units, you shall obtain your own named weapon. Perhaps those of Blue Star may prefer to refer to it as a specialized weapon." Chapter 65. The Power of Faith. Su Yunzhou exhaled deeply, and in an instant, the luminous points before him vanished. Of course, they did not truly disappear. He simply ceased to observe them. It was in that moment that he grasped the significance of the notification option during the initial upgrade of the train. He turned to Lilith and asked, "Why do you share this with me?" Lilith shrugged. "Even if I remained silent, you would undoubtedly inquire. As long as you summon an intelligent succubus, it will invariably be me, regardless of how many times you summon. The chaotic malevolence embodied by that girl is overwhelmingly excessive, and I prefer not to be bombarded incessantly by you. However, I am a principal demon and can only answer 3 questions, so ponder carefully before you ask." She crossed her arms, her gaze heavy upon Su Yunzhou. His first question was, "What is the destination of this train?" After a moment of contemplation, Lilith replied, "There are 2 endpoints, death and rebirth. The endpoint of death lies within the belly of the Ouroboros, while the endpoint of rebirth is the ethereal realm. Beyond that, I cannot say. I am merely a lowly, discarded high priestess of the abyss, a demon of little divine essence." As she spoke, she gestured with a hand sign that was particularly offensive in a certain country. At that moment, Fina interjected with confusion. "But the summoning incantation referred to you as a dark god, didn't it?" Lilith smiled at her, but immediately addressed Su Yunzhou. "That does not count as your second question. I merely answered her inquiry in the spirit of conversation. Can you not also respond to my question in a similar manner?" "Not a chance. You seem like a lowly enthusiast, and I am not fond of you," Su Yunzhou retorted with a cold, sarcastic laugh. "Who has been spreading such baseless rumors about me? I have repeatedly stated that I am not a lowly enthusiast." Meanwhile, Lilith appeared to be enjoying a lively exchange with Fina, perhaps due to the activation of Fina's passive ability, affinity with the dark god. Lilith elucidated, "In truth, those incantations are mere illusions. All you need to utter is a specific title, followed by a command, and you shall summon me. For instance, Great Priestess of the Succubi, Lilith, I beseech you to descend. That suffices. Generally speaking, the more melodious, lengthy, and formal the incantation, the greater the likelihood that demons, angels, or other entities shall respond." Fina nodded vigorously, akin to a pupil under a teacher's guidance. I understand. At that moment, Su Yunzhou continued for my second question. "What is the purpose of this survival game aboard the train?" Lilith, seldom displaying a smile, responded, "What purpose could a game have? It is merely for amusement and wagering. The deities, of course, disdain such trivial entertainment akin to cricket fighting. Thus, it is a gamble. The stakes are the myriad worlds. A defeated deity must willingly relinquish a portion of their dominion. It is as simple as that." Su Yunzhou nodded. "Very well for my third question. How does one slay a deity?" Lilith paused momentarily, refraining from answering directly, and instead queried Su Yunzhou, "Have you acquired the blasphemy token?" Though startled, Su Yunzhou maintained an impassive demeanor. What is the blasphemy token?" Lilith fixed her gaze upon Su Yunzhou's eyes, and after a silence of several seconds, she continued, "The blasphemy token is the emblem of defiling a deity. Only when a deity's belief is shattered can the being responsible for that rupture potentially obtain the blasphemy token. Typically, acquiring such a token is exceedingly challenging. Even if one successfully undermines a deity's faith, completing the binding task for the token remains arduous. Initially, the blasphemy token only bears negative effects, but as one's rank ascends, it gradually siphons the abilities of the desecrated deity. At this juncture, Lilith's gaze shifted to a small black cat in the corner. There are two methods to annihilate a deity. The first is to eradicate the deity's belief. For example, should every realm lose the concept and existence of cats, then the cat god would extinguish itself, ceasing to exist. Su Yunzhou decisively interjected, "Let us hear the second method." The second method involves the Godslayer token. This is a legend whispered within the void. The bearer of the Godslayer token possesses the power to slay a deity and usurp their place. Directly binding the Godslayer token is nearly impossible. A more feasible approach is to elevate the blasphemy token to the Godslayer token. However, even this second method has seen few successes, as deities will employ every means to eliminate those who possess the blasphemy token. With that, Lilith resolutely rose to depart. Enough. I cannot linger any longer. According to the rules of the train game, you must endure at least 25 stations before you might have a minuscule chance of encountering an entity of my caliber. I'm uncertain why you were able to summon me, but your rapid mastery of this world's laws, coupled with possessing at least C-grade array skills and an innate chaotic evil body, is indeed remarkable. The Doomsayer had either not anticipated such a scenario, or he had failed to articulate his thoughts clearly. Su Yunzhou could no longer discern the words, for Lilith had completely dissolved into a radiant light, vanishing into the ether. He immediately rose to his feet, exclaiming, "Hey, finish your sentence." What happened to him? Sigh, I'm truly exasperated. Everyone seems to enjoy speaking in riddles. If you don't wish to share, you need not do so. However, his attention swiftly diverted as Qin Ruoxue sent him another message. Qin Ruoxue, I wish to procure something that you can fabricate, but I cannot. Su Yunzhou, you mean bullets, don't you? Send over the gunpowder first. To his surprise, this individual promptly provided 30 units of gunpowder in one go. Subsequently, he kept his word and crafted the bullets, directly engaging in the transaction. Su Yunzhou stroked his chin, pondering. It seems that anyone who can successfully endure the 9th station is rewarded handsomely. He then mused, by the way, how many are left in the G8 district? What is going on? Current population in the area, 614. Su Yunzhou was taken aback. Over 2,000 people just evaporated? What is happening? The 9th station cannot be that difficult, can it? In truth, Su Yunzhou's perception was overly simplistic. His current prowess led him to this erroneous conclusion. If anyone else were to take his place, a mere moment of hesitation could result in them being gunned down by the robbers. Not everyone possesses the ability to withstand bullets or evade them. Furthermore, if the situation within the bank could not be effectively controlled, the officers outside would possess the capability to breach the premises at any moment. Though Su Yunzhou was indeed formidable, a swarm of modern, well-equipped security forces charging and would leave him no option for a graceful exit. Not to mention, this was the city of sin. In this realm, police power is an unending force, perpetually escalating, resulting in greater violence and casualties. Should Su Yunzhou truly reach such an extent, the outcome would be, any malevolence shall ultimately face justice. If Su Yunzhou faced such peril, one can only imagine the fate of other conductors. Devastating casualties. Chapter 66, Pingran Village, Qin Ruoxue. By the way, I have obtained a rather decent skill book this time. Would you care to take a look? Su Yunzhou hesitated for a moment. Send it over. At this juncture, Su Yunzhou surmised that Qin Ruoxue likely possessed a talent related to skill books. However, he was prudent enough not to pry. Soon after, information regarding a skill book was transmitted to him. Skill book, random BGM, type, skill book, skill level. Skill description. Upon learning, it allows for a random BGM to play within a 100-meter radius, providing random enhancement effects. There is a 25% chance of providing negative effects. Consuming 5 points of spiritual power, the duration is random, with a cooldown of 30 minutes. Description. Music grant me strength. Upon reading this, Su Yunzhou furrowed his brow. Do you truly believe this contraption is of any use? Qin Ruoxue did not respond directly. Instead, she sent a screenshot of a buff effect. Unity is strength type, buff duration, 140 seconds effect, within a radius of 100. All allies gain a 25-point increase in all attributes, enhancing teamwork and camaraderie. The more units affected by this buff, the greater its efficacy. Su Yunzhou, name your price. At that moment, he understood. This skill may have a low baseline, Its potential ceiling could be astonishingly high, should he randomly acquire a suitable background music track. Its impact would likely far exceed that of an E-grade skill. Not to mention, it could be enhanced further. On the other hand, Su Yunzhou was convinced that Qin Ruoshui would not demand an exorbitant price for an E-grade skill. Indeed, Qin Ruoshui stated, "1 energy crystal. Consider it a favor owed to you." Without hesitation, Su Yunzhou proceeded with the transaction. While energy crystals were undoubtedly precious, skill books held their own significant value. Unless the skill was utterly useless, the price of a skill book would not be low. The primary reason lies in the fact that skills can be learned indefinitely, while skill books are consumables. Compared to equipment, which has a limited quantity and can be used continuously, the worth of skill books is considerably higher. Once he had acquired the skill, Su Yunzhou immediately took out a bronze point and chose to invest in it. He was not short on bronze points at present. After accumulating a few, he now possessed 7 bronze points in hand. They were more than sufficient. Random BGM after the investment. It transformed into skill book, suitable BGM 1 type, skill book skill level, D-grade skill description. Upon learning, it allows the random playback of a BGM within a radius of 100 meters, providing beneficial effects suited to the current situation, with a 25% chance of offering negative effects. Consuming 5 points of spiritual power, the duration is random, with a cooldown of 30 minutes. Description: an appropriate piece of music is crucial. Observing this skill, Su Yunzhou stroked his chin, pondering for a moment. He proceeded to learn the skill. Subsequently, he sat cross-legged, took out an energy crystal, and began to meditate. Simultaneously, he activated the skill. A surge of exhilarating music filled the air. In youth, let us embark today to traverse the wild grasses, bidding farewell to the ordinary in pursuit of freedom. Su Yunzhou was momentarily stunned. Is this correct? Buff, extraordinary, effect, experience acquisition rate increased by 20 times. Duration, 180 seconds. Su Yunzhou, accompanied by this background music, immediately entered a state of cultivation. 3 minutes elapsed, equating to 1 hour of training, resulting in the acquisition of 1 experience point. Hakimi and Fina, naturally, were also instantly captivated by this melody. They glanced around, somewhat bewildered. Subsequently, they traced the sound to their leader, who was seated in meditation on the bed. Fina cautiously approached. "Leader, is there something singing within you?" However, Su Yunzhou, at that moment, paid her no mind. Fina, perceiving the situation, chose not to disturb him further. Half an hour later, as Su Yunzhao's skill cooldown concluded, he remained in his meditative state and unleashed the skill once more. The piece was still extraordinary, and its effects remained unchanged. He silently calculated in his mind. If one disregarded the consumption of spiritual energy every half hour, he could achieve 3 minutes of accelerated cultivation. Disregarding the fractional minutes, he could obtain approximately 3 experience points every hour. At this pace, before reaching the next station, he would attain level 6. With this thought, Su Yunzhou felt a surge of excitement. Qin Ruoshui indeed bestowed upon him a valuable skill. The water child was quite commendable. He could work with her. After reflecting on his thoughts, he began to meditate earnestly, absorbing the experience points from the energy crystal. Time flowed on. Your level has risen to level 6, granting you 1 free attribute point. Current experience points, 460. Your allocation talent has upgraded. Current effect: 1 bronze point every 2 hours, 1 silver point every 48 hours. Su Yunzhou gazed at the effect of his upgraded allocation talent and sighed lightly. He hadn't anticipated that the acquisition time for bronze points would shorten. Indeed, he would not be lacking in bronze points. However, silver points remained scarce. Earning 1 every 2 days was rather stingy. Before he could voice his grievances, the train's announcement resonated once more. The train will arrive at the station in 10 minutes. All train attendants, please prepare. Next station, trade station. Choose freely from the 3 random platforms. 1. Goblin Cave. 2. Dwarf Fortress. 3. Border Town. Pingran Village. Su Yunzhou chuckled softly. The 4th option seemed to be the observer's mischief. He did not deliberate long and directly selected Pingran Village. From the previous selection station, it was evident that if the observer truly wished to harm him, he would possess no means of resistance whatsoever. Consequently, Su Yunzhou harbored no fears regarding the observer's intentions. Your next trade station is Pingran Village. Description: this is a tranquil and serene small mountain village, surrounded by mountains on three sides, with a river on one side. The village is inhabited solely by elderly individuals, yet it boasts a complete array of facilities, allowing one to pause and rejuvenate during their journey. You may linger here for a full 24 hours. There is no danger at this stop, so please rest comfortably. The train emerges from the desolate expanse and gradually halts before the village. On one side, a calm river spans approximately 10 meters, flowing gently without turbulence. On the other side lies the entrance to the village, marked by a large stone inscribed with three prominent characters, Pingran Village. The name Pingran is a classical compound term, where Ping signifies tranquility and Ran denotes a state of being. This name suggests that one must not exhibit impatience within this village. Upon entering, Su Yunzhou quickly comprehended the wisdom behind this notion. The village is filled with venerable grandfathers and grandmothers, each radiating vitality and exuberance. The locals, upon noticing the arrival of youth, exhibited neither surprise nor curiosity. They merely cast a casual glance at Su Yunzhou and his companions before returning to their pursuits. Chapter 67. Procurement. As they traversed deeper into the village, Su Yunzhou first encountered a sprawling expanse of rice fields, where elderly men, their hair grizzled yet muscular, harvested the ripe golden grains, while equally spirited grandmothers assisted nearby. At this moment, the composition of Su Yunzhou's party was as follows: 1 man, 1 woman, 1 cat, and 1 dog. The man is a player from a train survival game. The woman a former saintess of a certain cult. The cat is a mystical feline with 9 lives, and the dog is a mechanical canine from a well-known rescue team. Upon entering the village, Su Yunzhou and his companions discovered that it was truly equipped with all necessary amenities. Though modest in size, it features shops, inns, restaurants, taverns, blacksmiths, and tailors, all in abundance. It is worth noting that the village's exterior leans towards ancient Chinese architectural styles, while its interior is replete with modern conveniences such as streetlights, buses, contemporary restrooms, and air conditioning. To draw a comparison, it resembles certain ancient-themed tourist destinations that, despite their archaic appearance, are fully equipped with modern facilities. Moreover, another striking aspect of this village is that all its inhabitants are elderly. Whether shopkeepers, tavern owners, or blacksmiths, they are all silver-haired, their faces adorned with wrinkles. Yet their spirits are undeniably vibrant. Su Yunzhou promptly entered a shop, addressing the contented elderly woman. "Madam, what currency is accepted for purchases here?" The lady reclined in her chair, enjoying the air conditioning with her eyes gently closed. "Young man, naturally, it's the Ningjing." Su Yunzhou replied directly, "Madam, I am unfamiliar with the purchasing power here. Could you enlighten me on what can be acquired with 1 Ningjing? For instance, it can buy 200 kilograms of rice. Please provide a rough estimate." Of course, to make a purchase here, one must spend at least 1 Ningjing. I do not provide change. "Certainly, dear lady. I shall offer you a small discount. Feel free to select whatever you desire." As Su Yunzhou's thoughts raced, he realized that his current food supply was not critically low. Moreover, if each stop boasted such trade venues, the devaluation of food was inevitable. Thus there was no need for him to engage in reselling. With this in mind, Su Yunzhou suddenly produced a crystal and presented it to the elderly lady, inquiring, "Do you sell seeds here? Please, could you gather a selection of each type for me?" The old woman opened her eyes, glanced at Su Yunzhou, and smacked her lips in agreement. "All right, young man, you truly know how to put this old body to work." With that, she sprang up from her reclining chair with surprising agility. "My dear lady, your physical condition seems to rival that of the young." At that moment, she had already reached a corner of the shop where numerous bags were displayed, presumably filled with seeds. Su Yunzhou left Fina to guard the area while he ventured onto the main road of the village, casually approaching the nearest household. As previously mentioned, this village was equipped with modern facilities. Thus, after a brief request, he managed to procure a water pipe as thick as his arm from the elderly couple's home without any cost. He connected the pipe directly to the train and commenced filling his storage compartment with water. Su Yunzhou estimated that within a day, he could easily fill up to 50 tons. Given their existing water usage, this amount would suffice for over a year, even with liberal use. For the time being, he would not need to worry about water sources. However, considering the need for irrigation and crop cultivation, it was prudent to store even more water. He then returned to the shop, where the old lady had already prepared packages containing various seeds for Su Yunzhou, including staple crops like wheat and rice. as well as seeds for carrots and other vegetables. He instructed Wankai to wander around the village in search of treasures, while Hakimi remained on the train. Meanwhile, he and Fina began the sowing process. Master, I suggest we should not plant everything at once. Let us start with a portion and accumulate some experience, Fina advised. That makes sense, Su Yunzhou agreed. They selected around 5 seeds from their collection and commenced small-scale planting within the carriage. They began with a portion of vegetable seeds, as they were not in dire need of staple crops. At this juncture, Su Yunzhou remarked, I just glanced at the descriptions of these seeds. They appear to be genetically improved, capable of maturing faster and yielding greater quantities. Fina's face lit up with excitement. That is splendid. If we can achieve a cycle, we will never have to worry about lacking vegetables again. Suddenly, Su Yunzhou shifted the conversation. By the way, I noticed that the inn has a bathhouse. Shall we go? At this, Fina's face flushed instantly. She narrowed her eyes and flashed a mischievous smile. Master, oh, you're quite the rascal. Su Yunzhou furrowed his brow. What are you thinking about? The bathhouse is a proper establishment, segregated by gender. Fina momentarily froze, responding, all right, fine. At dinner time, they first arrived at a restaurant, ordering several dishes and packing away a considerable amount of food. After the sun dipped below the horizon, they made their way to the bathhouse at the inn. Naturally, these expenses required energy crystals. At this moment, Su Yunzhou lamented the difficulty of navigating the trade war without energy crystals. Although the prices here were reasonable, they had not converted energy crystals into smaller denominations of currency. Thus, Su Yunzhou had to spend an entire energy crystal to make his purchases. Conversely, in the village, buying goods or dining out required no monetary exchange. Every elder knew one another, and money was rarely discussed. These prices seemed to apply solely to Su Yunzhou, as if they were arbitrarily set. Spending 3 energy crystals, Su Yunzhou acquired a multitude of seeds and preserved a selection of fresh food before finally arriving at the bathhouse. An elderly woman stood guard at the entrance, which was divided into male and female sections. Just as Su Yunzhou was about to carry Hakimi into the men's bath, he was promptly stopped by the woman. She effortlessly took Hakimi from his arms, checked the little one, and declared, female, cannot enter the men's bath. Su Yunzhou's eye twitched at her strictness. Madam, you are quite meticulous here. Fina then took Hakimi into her arms, saying, leave it to me to bathe Hakimi. Rest assured, I will fulfill the task. All right, I entrust it to you. With that, Su Yunzhou said no more and turned to enter the men's bath. Having spent 1 energy crystal, he and Fina effectively reserved exclusive use of the bathhouse for the next 3 hours. What a delight. At that moment, a voice, unremarkable yet tinged with a hint of mischief, came from behind Su Yunzhou. Kid, I didn't bring you here for leisure. Su Yunzhou seemed to have anticipated this. Who else could the speaker be but the observer? Chapter 68. The Silver Spear of Old Age, Su Yunzhou replied, somewhat impatiently. Haven't I reserved the whole place? How can you still come in? The observer chuckled. I also paid an energy crystal, so of course I can enter. However, he soon let out a cry of distress. Take it easy, old man. A burly elder was vigorously scrubbing the observer's back, leaving it reddened. As a southerner, Su Yunzhou found the sight rather alarming. Observer, with your combat prowess, are you truly in pain from scrubbing? The observer chuckled. Do you think the bath attendants here are ordinary folk? Su Yunzhou nodded in agreement. Indeed, none of these elders appear to be commonplace. The observer then sighed contentedly. Most lives are finite. Even heroes powerful enough to vanquish demon lords eventually face their end. This tranquil village serves as a sanctuary for those aging warriors seeking refuge. I shall refrain from detailing the specific operational logic. In essence, these elders are able to continue their existence in their aged forms here, with the sole stipulation that they must maintain tranquility and composure, never succumbing to impatience. Su Yunzhou nodded. So, you summoned me to this peculiar place for a reason, I presume? The observer squinted. In truth, even if I remain silent, you ought to be able to surmise a few things, no? Certainly. Su Yunzhou replied slowly. It is merely about the death duel arena of the 7th station. You have summoned me here for compensation, have you not? To be frank, I find it somewhat incomprehensible. If you genuinely care about fairness, why allow breeding to interfere in the duels? If fairness in this train game does not concern you, then why are you so diligent in offering me compensation? The observer let out a sigh of relief and chuckled. Do you truly believe that by permitting breeding to intervene, I'm being more unfair to you? How so? My intention in allowing breeding to protect Yi Feng is singular, to enable you to contract the blasphemous token. Should Yi Feng, breeding's sole piece, perish, their only connection to the train game would be severed, thus preventing you from contracting the blasphemous token. Su Yunzhou scoffed coldly. Do you think I desire to contract such a thing? Initially, it is nothing but a burdensome source of negative effects. The observer waved his hand dismissively. I understand, to where the crown is to bear its weight, correct? Suffering first, sweetness later, do you comprehend? Those who suffer first will only continue to endure hardship, while those who taste sweetness first have at least experienced it. The observer spoke with an almost nonchalant tone. Very well, compensation it is. I am a person who values fairness above all. Since you feel a loss, let us provide you with compensation. With a wave of his hand, 3 ancient copper coins fluttered into Su Yunzhou's grasp. One for the white-clad gunman in the east of the village, one for the meditative stone by the river, and one for the blacksmith shop. Rest assured, from the moment you stepped into this village, you have not incurred a loss. Su Yunzhou took the 3 ancient coins and examined them, posing an unrelated question. Besides myself, are there other possessors of the blasphemous token? The observer responded, not at present, but it should be forthcoming. At that moment, Su Yunzhou suddenly laughed. Do you possess many avatars? I feel as though I can easily encounter you. As the game's arbiter, can the other conductors also see you? No. That privilege belongs solely to you. I have an inkling that you may very well be the only player to survive into the Void Realm. The observer added a caveat to his statement. Of course, the probability is exceedingly low, but it certainly exists. At this juncture, Su Yunzhou revealed a meaningful smile. Observer of the apocalypse, shall we strike a bargain? The observer scoffed. Do you truly believe you possess any bargaining chips that would pique my interest? Without leverage, how can one engage in trade? Yet, Su Yunzhou boldly elucidated. To spare Yi Feng from death is merely to enable me to assist you in truly vanquishing the breeding mother goddess. In that moment, the observer's demeanor finally shifted to one of solemnity. He coldly stated, Thus, I detest using intelligent individuals as mere pawns, for you are ever restless and insatiable. Despite his words, the observer showed no intention of turning against Su Yunzhou. Pray tell, what manner of transaction do you propose? After a comfortable bath, Su Yunzhou returned to the train with a companion and a cat to rest. The following morning, he set out with 3 copper coins in search of the 3 locations where the observer indicated these coins could be utilized. To the east of Pinglan village, an elderly man with silver hair sat cross-legged on the ground, his hair tied in a high ponytail, clad in a white Han attire, with a gleaming silver spear standing beside him. As soon as Su Yunzhou approached, the elder spoke in a deep, resonant voice. Are you here to practice the spear? Su Yunzhou produced a copper coin, affirming the elder's assumption. Although he was unsure of his true purpose, it seemed reasonable to practice under the guidance of a spear master. The elder continued, I possess 3 formidable spear techniques. The first is 100 birds saluting the phoenix, the second is 7 explorations of the coiling snake, and the third is 1 strike to kill. Upon hearing the names of these techniques, Su Yunzhou could not help but comment. The name of the last technique clearly does not align with the previous 2. You may only learn 1, the elder replied. Is it not possible to learn them all? Su Yunzhou inquired. The elder paused momentarily before responding. Is possible, but you must possess the foundation of the Zhao family spear technique to learn all 3 skills. Su Yunzhou tentatively asked, Is the Zhao family of this Zhao family the one of Zhao Xian or Zhao Yun? The elder looked at Su Yunzhou, momentarily taken aback, before answering, Zhao Yun. Then, this is promising, Su Yunzhou exclaimed, slapping his waist, summoning his martial soul, which manifested behind him. Zhao Yun's martial soul. Elder, what do you think of my Zhao family spear technique? He then demonstrated a skill inherent to the waist belt of his martial soul. The elder was left speechless, gazing at the figure clad in silver armor, wielding a silver spear, moved to the point of shedding tears. The once murky eyes now appeared somewhat clear. However, he quickly regained his composure, reminding himself, I must not be overly emotional. I'm a figure of nearly 1,000 years, and must maintain the demeanor of a senior. Young man, you are indeed impressive, but the spear techniques you just displayed were clearly mastered by your martial soul. No matter how powerful you are in the martial soul state, it is not genuine. The elder adopted a tone reminiscent of a wise mentor, advising Su Yunzhou. Su Yunzhou nodded in agreement. You speak truthfully, elder. Might you teach the first two techniques to my martial soul and the third directly to me? The elder appeared momentarily taken aback, sensing something amiss. Yet, after considerable contemplation, he could not pinpoint the exact discrepancy. Very well. Your martial soul, Zhao Yun has, for special reasons, mastered the skill 100 birds saluting the phoenix. Your martial soul, Zhao Yun, has for special reasons, mastered the skill 7 explorations of the coiling snake. Upon successfully mastering the skill associated with his martial spirit, Su Yunzhou felt a profound sense of satisfaction. He dispelled the state of his martial spirit and continued, "All right, esteemed elder, please impart to me the third skill." The old man nodded, stroking his beard. "Young one, pay close attention." As he spoke, he produced a silver handgun from an unknown source. The weapon gleamed with a lustrous silver hue, featuring an elongated barrel and fitted with a scope. Chapter 69. Train Assault Module, 12 Wings of Radiance, with a surge of power converging at the gun's muzzle. A torrent of energy erupted explosively, propelling towards a nearby boulder. The impact was thunderous, shattering the massive rock into myriad fragments. Su Yunzhou exclaimed, Is this correct?" The elder holstered the gun. "This weapon is known as the one-shot kill gun. Did you observe it clearly?" While he had indeed seen it, he hesitated to respond further. Without waiting for Su Yunzhou's words, the elder conjured a skill card into his hand. Skill card. One-shot kill gun. Type. Skill book skill level. C grade skill description. Upon learning, one can charge for 30 seconds, expending 40 points of stamina and 40 points of spirit. The next bullet fired from the firearm will coalesce formidable power, amplifying its damage by 5 to 10 times based on the original attack power, along with a commensurate increase in range. Note: one of the legendary 9-gun combat techniques. This strike possesses astonishing power, but it also demands considerable energy and has a lengthy preparation time. C-grade skill, despite the seemingly impressive name, is rather standard for gun combat techniques. Given the abundance of bronze points at present, Su Yunzhou decided to invest in this skill without hesitation. However, the enhancement was not significantly pronounced. Skill card. One-shot kill gun 1 type. Skill book skill level. C-grade skill description. Upon learning, one can immediately expend 40 points of stamina and 40 points of spirit. The next bullet fired from the firearm will coalesce formidable power, amplifying its damage by 5 to 10 times based on the original attack power, along with a commensurate increase in range. It merely removes the 30 seconds of charging preparation, with no other differences. Nonetheless, Su Yunzhou proceeded to acquire this skill. He engaged in brief conversation with the elder, yet it was evident that the elder was reluctant to elaborate further. Thus, Su Yunzhou made his way to the second location, the village's blacksmith shop. As expected, the blacksmith was a robust figure, clad in a muscular build, his upper body bare. Despite his graying hair and beard, he appeared more akin to a vigorous middle-aged man. At that moment, he was tirelessly hammering away at something within the forge. Su Yunzhou did not enter immediately, merely standing at the threshold. He could feel a wave of intense heat washing over him. It was conservatively estimated that the temperature inside surpassed 45 degrees Celsius. "Esteemed blacksmith, I am Su Yunzhou, and I seek your assistance." A somewhat irate voice emerged from within the forge. "Ah, another from the train game. Is it? Do you possess the copper coin? If not, no matter how many energy crystals you offer, I shall not assist you in forging advanced items. If you wish to purchase items with energy crystals, feel free to select them yourself nearby." Naturally, Su Yunzhou had already examined the tools in the blacksmith shop yesterday. They were ordinary, even exquisite quality tools, which might have tempted him in the past. However, at this moment, he found himself lacking none of those fundamental implements. Moreover, the treasure-seeking mechanical dog could substitute for most basic tools like shovels, picks, and hoes. "Indeed, I possess them." Su Yunzhou produced the copper coin and handed it over. After the blacksmith, old Deng, scrutinized it closely, he let out a discontented grunt, saying, "Very well, I can forge you one advanced item, but you must first inform me of your requirements." To begin with, the categories are divided into equipment and train modules. Secondly, under equipment, there are 18 types of weapons, as well as headgear, armor, and footwear. The train modules are classified into carriages, acceleration, attack, and defense. After a brief moment of contemplation, Su Yunzhou promptly declared, "The train attack module." His equipment was already sufficient, and he had no inkling about the 4 essential items required to upgrade the train to the next level. Train attack module, train defense module, train acceleration module, advanced core. At this juncture, the opportunity to acquire train module was not to be missed. As for his choice of the attack module, it stemmed from the belief that the best defense is a good offense. 30 minutes. With that, the blacksmith retreated into the sweltering forge, the sound of hammering ringing out. 30 minutes swiftly elapsed. Despite having undergone intense labor, the blacksmith emerged unflustered, his face devoid of color or breathlessness. Here, take this card. He tossed it over while grumbling. Being a blacksmith isn't easy. I have to craft all the iron tools for the entire village, and now I have outside customers to contend with. Su Yinzhou offered a polite remark. Thank you for your hard work, esteemed master. He then examined the train attack module card in his hand. He was uncertain how the blacksmith managed to forge a card. Perhaps this was merely a fundamental law of this world. 6-wing shimmering blade module card. Type, attack module quality, perfect effect. Upon use, it grants the train 6-winged shimmering blades. When enemies appear within a 500-meter radius of the train, the 6-winged shimmering blades can launch up to 6 rotating flying blades, inflicting rapid, cutting damage upon foes. The blades will automatically return to the train after the attack concludes. Description: have you ever imagined a high-speed rotating ceiling fan suddenly plummeting, severing the heads of those beneath? As Su Yinzhou gazed at the module card in his hand, he marveled. This contraption appears remarkably impressive. I must enhance it and swiftly install it onto the train. Upon enhancing the 6-winged gleaming blade, it inevitably transformed into the 12-winged gleaming blade. The functionality remained largely unchanged, except that 12 attacking rotary blades would now coexist simultaneously. Shall the train's attack module, the 12-winged gleaming blade, be assembled? Assemble. With a sound reminiscent of a Transformer-S transformation. Segments resembling circular saws began to sprout from both sides of the train. 6 circular saws adorned each side, culminating in a total of 12. Fina's eyes widened in astonishment. Boss, what have you done to the train? It looks incredibly aggressive. Su Yinzhou replied with a cold smirk. From now on, should anyone dare to attack the train, these gleaming blades will teach them a lesson in humanity. Well, perhaps a monstrosity too. After completing the assembly of the attack module, only 4 hours remained before Su Yinzhou would depart from Pingran village. He finally arrived at the meditation stone previously mentioned by the observer. This was a massive stone disc with a diameter of 3 meters, adorned with peculiar magical formations, and featuring a groove at its center. Having already gathered enough information from the observer, Su Yinzhou placed a copper coin into the groove. After an hour of uninterrupted meditation on the stone disc, due to the unique meditative state, your psychic energy attribute has permanently increased by 5. At that moment, Su Yinzhou's psychic energy attribute reached a total of 17 points. Chapter 70. The second level platform. The utilization of all 3 ancient copper coins brought unimaginable benefits to Su Yinzhou. He couldn't shake the feeling that the observer was deliberately crafting a sense of unfairness to profit from him. The train gradually departed from Pingran village, and the system issued a new notification. All train conductors have left the trade platform, entering a higher tier station. Next, everyone will confront the second level platform, signifying richer rewards, but also greater dangers. Area merging module has completed the merger. Current area population has been updated. 9,987. New area designation, G2. With the area merger complete, the previously stagnant chat room, which had only a few hundred members, suddenly erupted with activity. Zhao Yan, if anyone has surplus equipment or skill books, feel free to trade with me. I'm open to exchanges. By the way, I'm a level 3 conductor. Sakamoto, Kyoto, do you need any basic resources of level 1? I have several hundred. Let us see if we can make a trade. Li Shangda, if you need wheat flour, come buy from me. My prices are reasonable. Zhang Qilong, are you all not in need of food? Why are you selling it instead? You fail to comprehend. My esteemed brother Li has acquired a compartment filled with fertile soil, complemented by a unique water resource that accelerates crop maturation, allowing for rapid growth. How fortunate you are. In our district, it seems that more than half of the population is on the brink of starvation, with scarcely any platforms offering sustenance. Fortunately, this trading station allows us to exchange energy crystals for an abundance of food. I dare say my rice supply could last me 3 months. Is it not true that you consume meat and vegetables? I possess but a single energy crystal and wish to barter for as much food as possible. Meat and vegetables yield little in return. After all, one must first satiate their hunger. Su Yunzhou perused the messages in the chat room, gaining a rough understanding of the situation following the merger of several regions. The population has returned to nearly 10,000, all of whom have survived through the initial 10 stations. They should not be underestimated. As Su Yunzhou pondered, a system announcement reverberated through the air during the train's journey. Should the speed fall below 50 kilometers per hour, there is a potential risk of attack. This announcement sent ripples of anxiety through the crowd. Though far less chaotic than before, Su Yunzhou had initially contemplated selling another batch of primary wheels, only to find others already vending secondary wheels. He sighed. Indeed, those who have managed to survive are no ordinary individuals. What is more, a significant portion of this crowd can afford the prices being asked. The production of secondary wheels necessitates secondary resources, and most of these individuals possess such means. Even those lacking resources have alternative goods to offer in exchange. Of course, Su Yunzhou need not fret. His train has reached level 4, cruising at a speed of 80 kilometers per hour. An attack? They would merely be chasing the rear of his train. At that moment, Su Yunzhou was unexpectedly greeted by a notification sound he had not anticipated. You are the first train conductor in this region to elevate your train to level 4. You may choose one of the following rewards. 1. Broadcast in the regional channel. 2. Acquire the B-grade agility skill, swift as the wind. 3. Obtain the epic level pet, undying mystic cat. Su Yunzhou's expression shifted to one of astonishment. He could hardly fathom that the previously elusive rapid upgrade had emerged here. Why had this occurred? A delayed activation? Pondering this, he stroked his chin, his mind racing through various possibilities. Was it an intentional act by an observer? Or had it simply not been calculated that someone might reach a level 4 train within the first 10 stations? Yet, shaking his head, he concluded that this line of thought was misguided. After all, the Thunderstone had appeared during the selection. Had there been an error in the selection process? A whirlwind of thoughts surged through Su Yunzhou's mind, but he quickly arrived at a conclusion. Dwelling on this was of no consequence. It was time to select a reward. Firstly, the first option is still excluded. The third option, the immortal black cat pet, seems to conflict with Hakimi's presence. Moreover, Su Yunzhou has already achieved perfection with 1 cat and 1 dog. There is no need to adopt another feline. If the newly arrived immortal black cat happens to be a mere keycap, it would certainly be a source of distress for him. Of course, the most crucial factor is the B-grade skill. How could he possibly refuse it? This is indeed a B-grade skill. After Su Yunzhou made his selection, a skill book quietly rested in the palm of his hand. Skill book, swift as the wind, type. Skill book, skill level. B-grade skill description, passive effect, permanently increases agility by 1 level. Active effect, temporarily multiplies agility by 5, leaving afterimages while moving, lasting for 30 minutes. Cooldown, 72 hours. Note, when a great wind rises, the clouds soar. Su Yunzhou gazed at the B-grade skill book in his hand, his heart brimming with excitement. Shortly thereafter, he heard a notification. You have gained a new silver point. Without hesitation, Su Yunzhou reached out to stroke Hakimi's head. Hakimi, hold on for a moment. Let me first master Swift as the wind level 2, and then I'll grant you level 2. Meow. Although Hakimi did not fully comprehend Su Yunzhou's words, it sensed that the duck it had just acquired was about to fly away. It immediately began to protest. However, its protest fell on deaf ears. Su Yunzhou held Hakimi's head down and opted to enhance Swift as the wind to level 2. Consequently, he obtained an A-grade Swift as the wind. Suffer a little, Hakimi. I shall bear the blame, Su Yunzhou chuckled, proceeding to learn this A-grade skill. Swift as the wind 2, type. Movement skill level. A-grade, effect 1. Passive, permanently increases agility by 2 levels. Effect 2, active, temporarily multiplies agility by 10, leaving afterimages while moving, lasting for 30 minutes. Cooldown, 24 hours. Effect 3, passive. Each activation of effect 2 permanently increases agility by 1 point. Current, 0, immediately. Su Yunzhao's agility surged to 25 points, nearly surpassing his physique attribute. His current attribute panel was as follows. Level, 7, physique, 28, mental power, 17, agility, 25. It can be said that Su Yunzhao's physical prowess now far exceeded that of an ordinary human. If he were to compete in the Olympics, he would undoubtedly dominate in purely physical events such as running. This is the power of numerical superiority. After a few rounds of punches and kicks, Su Yunjiao remarked, "The taste of an A-grade skill is quite delightful." As the day gradually turned into night, some people drifted off into slumber, while others remained restless in panic. During dinner time, Su Yunjiao caught sight of a group of monstrous beings pursuing a train. Chapter 71. The 11th Station. The terrifying library. What on earth are these creatures? Wild men with long hair. The towering figure appeared to be 3 meters tall, possessing an undeniable strength. If it desired to latch onto our train, it would be as effortless as clinging to an Indian locomotive. My goodness, this creature struck the rear of my train with such ferocity that it punctured a gaping hole through the steel. To think it could pierce through metal with its bare hands. Fortunately, my train was swift. Otherwise, I would surely have met my demise. Observing the situation in the chat room, Su Yunzhou shifted his gaze toward a group of shaggy wild men. In the darkness, their eyes glowed a menacing crimson, their mouths resembling the orifices of an octopus, lined with jagged teeth. They were tall, their bodies cloaked in a coat of gray-brown hair, resembling a raincoat that enveloped them entirely. As these wild men drew closer to the train, Su Yunzhou contemplated his next move and activated the attack mode of the 12-winged Shining Blade. The 12-winged Shining Blade possesses both active and defensive attack modes. The latter only triggers a counterattack when enemies approach within a 200-meter radius of the train. In active attack mode, it can pursue and eliminate foes within a kilometer. Su Yunzhou aimed to test the might of the Shining Blade. With a whoosh, the spinning Shining Blades launched from both sides of the train, hurtling towards the shaggy, wild men behind. In an instant, 2 of the creatures were cleaved in half. The speed of the cut was so swift that the severed wild men continued to run forward, oblivious to their fate. It was not until after several seconds of sprinting that their bodies began to register the disarray. Upper and lower halves misaligned, while their legs still propelled them forward, their torsos uncontrollably tilting backward. A cacophony of anguish cries erupted from the remaining wild men, who, in a frenzy, began to howl in rage. Their speed surged, but they still failed to catch up to Su Yunzhou's train, resulting in another dozen wild men meeting a similar fate at the hands of the Shining Blade. With a bemused smile, Su Yunzhou remarked, "How feeble they are. Even if my train speed were insufficient, the Shining Blade alone suffices to deal with these monsters." Switching the Shining Blade back to automatic defense mode, he settled in for a restful slumber. The following morning, Su Yunzhou promptly checked the number of individuals in the area. 9,345. Had several hundred perished under such circumstances? It seemed the wild men were indeed formidable in battle. He stroked his chin thoughtfully. However, he was soon drawn to another notification. Beginning from the 11th station, the layover time for conductors will be extended to 12 hours at each station. Moreover, there will be a 48-hour interval between each station. Additionally, all conductors operating trains with a total mileage of less than 6,000 kilometers across the wasteland. Do not fear or falter. Hold steadfast to your convictions. The train broadcast can be trusted. The system panel is reliable. Regardless of what you see within your own train, do not engage in any actions that would lead you to leave the train in the wilderness. As this nonsensical prompt emerged, many individuals exhibited signs of confusion and bewilderment. The majority, including Su Yunzhou, found it nearly impossible to ascertain how long they had been traveling unless they actively recorded the time. Initially, Su Yunzhou kept track of the time, but soon realized that the arrival time of the train bore no relation to its speed. He quickly comprehended that the train perpetually advanced across the expanse of the wilderness, only to be forcibly extracted from it by an unseen power at a predetermined moment, arriving at some celestial realm. The pursuit of monsters seemed intrinsically linked to the train's velocity. However, it raised the question of why the distance traveled by the train would also play a role. Could it be that a train lagging behind would succumb to some insidious mental force, resulting in a state of madness? At this moment, Su Yunzhou, despite his desire to unravel this mystery, found himself at an impasse. He could not possibly experience such a situation, nor could he verify it. Furthermore, within the chat room, no one had yet recounted encountering such an event. Soon, he ceased his musings and began to meditate in tranquility. 48 hours after departing the trading station, the train crews of Zone G2 finally arrived at a new platform, Su Yunzhou included. The train will arrive in 10 minutes. All crew members, please prepare. Next stop, the Library of Horrors. Difficulty, level 2. Type, 5-person, team cooperation. Special note, team cooperation mode prohibits friendly fire. Danger level, moderate. Reward level, excellent. Special note, this establishment is strictly hierarchical. The train came to a gradual halt amidst a shroud of gray-black mist, with only a solitary building faintly visible ahead, bearing the inscription library. The train rested before the entrance of this library. Fina, would you like to join me? Su Yunzhou inquired, seeking her opinion. Naturally, he intended to bring along Hakimi and Wang Kai, as both could contribute significantly. However, Fina, aside from her ability to produce delicious juice and her formidable affinity with the dark deity, possessed little else in terms of skills. To put it bluntly, she was somewhat lacking. Fina nodded. Boss, I will accompany you. Are you certain? I cannot guarantee your safety, he replied. Yet, Fina enigmatically remarked, Boss, I have a premonition that if males were to act alone within this library, the danger could escalate. Su Yunzhou, perplexed, asked, What strange intuition do you possess? Fina shook her head. I don't know. Perhaps it is what they call a sixth sense. Su Yunzhou chose not to press further. Very well. Then you shall accompany me as we disembark. Upon disembarking, Su Yunzhou immediately turned to gaze at a solitary door. Indeed, in such a place, it was impossible to halt the train. Thus only a single door could be present. Fina expressed her concerns. Boss, isn't this rather unfavorable? Not necessarily. There are pros and cons. It ensures our train will not fall prey to the indigenous inhabitants or the conductors of other trains. Yet, the issue was evident. We would likely be unable to return to the train at will. Just as Su Yunzhou concluded his statement, the door they had just exited vanished instantaneously. Feeling the surrounding eerie atmosphere and watching the door disappear, Fina felt a pang of regret. Boss, had I known, we might as well have stayed on the train. Oh dear. Su Yunzhou promptly flicked her forehead. Foolish woman, do you intend to hide forever? While safety on the train is assured, we gain nothing. It is in essence a slow demise. Oh. Fina nodded obediently, indicating her understanding. This was a trait that Su Yunzhou found rather commendable, despite her occasional awkwardness and naivety. She was willing to heed advice and learn. This was far preferable to those who feign understanding, self-righteous yet unteachable, a hopelessly foolish woman. Chapter 72, Zhuge Hong. Zhao Yan. As Su Yunzhou and the others disembarked, they soon discovered 4 additional doors nearby. From these 4 doors emerged 4 male conductors, including Su Yunzhou. This station was decidedly an all-male gathering. The 5 men tacitly congregated at the entrance of the library, sizing each other up. Shortly, a refined young man with black-rimmed glasses stepped forward and declared, Let's introduce ourselves. I am Zhuge Hong. Beside him stood a tall and robust youth with an unkempt beard, introducing himself. I am Zhao Yan. On the other side was a bashful boy, keeping his head down, hesitant to meet the other's gaze. I am Liang Shan. The last individual struck Su Yunzhou as familiar, yet he could not place him. Fina discreetly tugged at Su Yunzhou's sleeve and whispered, Boss, that young man seems somewhat familiar. At that moment, the final youth began his introduction. The revelation shocked both Su Yunzhou and Fina. I am Yi Feng, he stated, his gaze fixed intently upon Su Yunzhou and Fina. Yi Feng, how have you changed so much? Su Yunzhou could hardly believe that this effeminate, frail-looking boy, resembling a star from a cold, dark realm, could be Yi Feng. Previously, Yi Feng embodied the archetype of a spirited young hero. How had he transformed from figure of vigor to one of fragility? What trials had he endured? A look of humiliation crossed Yi Feng's face, and he paid no heed to Su Yunzhou. Certainly, he did not recklessly rush forward to confront Su Yunzhou in a quest for vengeance or to indulge in the thrill of retribution. Since the incident involving the 4th base, his demeanor had undoubtedly become more reserved, understated, and composed. Upon reflection, it is understandable that even the most arrogant of men would succumb to feelings of inadequacy after experiencing such a loss. Eventually, Su Yunzhou introduced himself as well. Once everyone had presented themselves, Zhuge Hong promptly stated, Clearly, we are required to remain in the library for a considerable duration. Given that the train stop has been extended to 12 hours, we must collaborate to the best of our abilities. Furthermore, based on my observations, this station appears to fall under the category of a bizarre folklore station. I recommend we first search for any signs indicating the library's regulations. Zhuge Hong, evidently a strategic thinker, swiftly analyzed the situation and deduced a wealth of information, subsequently issuing very reasonable directives. Some individuals appreciated such a decisive approach, while others were decidedly averse to someone who takes charge so readily. Zhao Yan, visibly displeased, pushed Zhuge Hong's shoulder forcefully, exclaiming, "Why are you speaking as if you're the only one here, completely disregarding me?" The more reserved Liang Shan quickly interjected, "Let us not quarrel or fight." Zhuge Hong adjusted his glasses and did not engage Zhao Yan directly, asking then, "What do you propose we do next?" Zhao Yan hesitated, scratching his head, and stammered, "We should first form groups and then search separately to see if we can gather any information." Su Yinzhao, unable to bear the unfolding scene any longer, pointed toward the sign in the distance. "There, we can see the library regulations. Let us proceed there directly." The others turned to look, but could only discern a vague outline. "Su, how is your vision so sharp? You can see that from so far away." Su Yunzhao silently nodded, choosing not to elaborate on the effects of his farsightedness. Soon, they arrived beneath the sign and beheld what was termed the library regulations. 1. Greet upperclassmen proactively. Respect must be shown to seniors, and underclassmen are forbidden from contradicting upperclassmen. 2. The library is a place designated for study. Any activities unrelated to learning are strictly prohibited. 3. Any indecent behavior within the library will incur severe penalties. 4. Hands must be placed on the table. Placing them below the table is strictly forbidden. 5. The library's surveillance cannot be trusted. 6. No one will check student IDs within the library. Zhao Yan scratched his head. These library regulations seem rather peculiar. Zhuge Hong replied, "Such is the nature of rules in bizarre folklore." He adjusted his glasses again, adding, moreover, "If we do not enter the library soon, we may encounter unfortunate circumstances." Just as he finished speaking, a group adorned with insignias and clad in uniforms approached them. Yi Feng, puzzled, inquired, "Who are these individuals?" Zhuge Hong promptly suggested, "Let's first enter the library." The others, without a hint of suspicion, gradually made their way inside. The interior of the library appeared quite normal, with numerous students engaged in their studies. There was no long table for 6. Thus, they were compelled to choose separate seats. Zhuge Hong remarked, "We are 5 boys and 1 girl. I propose we pair 2 of the stronger boys with the girl." However, Su Yinzhou interjected, "She is not the train conductor. There is no need for such arrangements." Upon hearing this, the other boys exchanged puzzled glances. Fina chimed in, "I am Su Yunzhou's little brother. Oh, I mean little sister." One must admit that Fina's resolve was indeed commendable. When it came time to form groups, she exhibited no hesitation whatsoever. Zhuge Hong paused for a moment, then glanced at the dog and cat by Su Yunzhou's feet. "Could it be, Su, that you possess a summoning profession?" Su Yunzhou hesitated briefly before nodding. "If one must categorize it, I suppose it could be considered as such." Zhao Yin chuckled heartily. "Ah, how peculiar. I have one too, though I dare not flaunt it as boldly as you, Su. I've tied her to the train to prevent her from escaping." This statement elicited odd expressions from those present. Yi Feng directly inquired, "Zhao Yin, did you forcibly bring a woman onto your train?" As a man aspiring to be a protagonist, Yi Feng found such malevolent behavior utterly intolerable. Yet Zhao Yin remained unfazed. "Well, that woman is rather foolish. When I offered her food, she eagerly followed me back to the train. Wouldn't you agree she is rather dim-witted?" Zhao Yin seemed oblivious to the increasingly strange atmosphere surrounding him, viewing the incident as a point of pride. Yi Feng and Liang Shan directed fiery glares toward Zhao Yin, filled with indignation. Although Su Yunzhou did not express outright anger, he could hardly harbor any fondness for Zhao Yin. At that moment, it was Zhuge Hong who stepped forward. He too was distinctly displeased with Zhao Yan's actions. However, as a rational individual, he recognized that conflict among them was ill-timed. "Enough, Zhao Yan. Please refrain from discussing such matters. No one wishes to hear about it. Our current objective is to survive together. Let's not deviate from that topic." Zhao Yan fell silent, harboring an increasing discontent towards Zhuge Hong. After a brief discussion, the seating arrangements were finally established. Naturally, Su Yinzhou seated himself at a table with Fina and his dog and cat. Liang Shan and Zhuge Hong occupied another table, while Zhao Yin and Yi Feng sat at a third. Although they shared a table, the two were positioned opposite each other, with a considerable distance of over 2 meters separating them. At such a distance, whispering secrets would be virtually impossible. Interestingly, despite the library's many perplexing rules, there was no explicit prohibition against speaking loudly. Moreover, activities such as snacking and gaming were not explicitly prohibited, at least for the present. No one seemed to oversee Su Yunzhou. Engaging in conversation with Fina while petting a cat and munching on snacks, he remained unnoticed by the other students. Surrounding students remained engrossed in their pursuit of knowledge, heads bowed in concentration. Su Yunzhou set Hakimi aside and said, "Fina, could you fetch me a few books to peruse?" "Certainly, boss." Observing Fina's obedient demeanor towards Su Yunzhou from a distance, Yi Feng felt a surge of indignation. The former saintess appeared to be at Su Yunzhou's beck and call like a servant, a sight that was intolerable for him as the Holy Son. How infuriating! It should be mine, all of it is mine. Everything I possess has been usurped by Su Yunzhou. Just then, a group of uniformed figures entered the library. "Hey, everyone, pay attention." The leader was a somewhat plump woman with shoulder-length bangs. Following her were 5 other women in the same uniform, exhibiting a fierce demeanor. "Take a good look at our faces. We are here to inspect the library for any unlawful or improper conduct." She pointed at the plump woman at the forefront. "This is the librarian, Zhang Jingyu. Address her as senior." The students in the library immediately stood up, bowing respectfully in unison. "Greetings, senior." Witnessing the scene, Liangshan instinctively wanted to rise and bow as well. However, noticing that the other 4 remained seated, he chastised himself internally and stayed put. It was utterly impossible for Su Yunzhou and his companions to avoid the scrutiny of Senior Zhang. Her hawk-like gaze quickly zeroed in on the 5 boys who had shown her disrespect. "Heh," Zhang Jingyu sneered, leading her team to Liangshan and Zhuge Hong's table. Nevertheless, she did not confront them regarding their lack of courtesy. "You two, while studying in the library, why is it that your table is devoid of books?" Upon hearing this, Zhuge Hong, quick on his feet, promptly retrieved 2 books from his backpack. He tossed one to Liangshan and held the other in his hands, feigning an earnest reading posture. However, Liangshan appeared utterly flabbergasted. His hands pressed tightly against his knees, head bowed. He trembled, momentarily unable to utter a word. Observing Liangshan's demeanor, a sickly flush crept onto Zhang Jingyu's face, her voice quivering. "What are you doing with your hands under the table? Engaging in indecent behavior, perhaps?" Following this, the air turned deathly still, gripped by an invisible hand, imbued with a chilling metallic scent. An alarming scene unfolded before all, as the senior who had just moments ago been smiling suddenly twisted her face into a grotesque and unnatural shape. In the next instant, a deep fissure split open her head with a resounding pop, the crack rapidly expanding until it morphed into a gaping maw reminiscent of a grinding mill. Its form akin to a predatory pitcher plant, yet far more terrifying than the fiercest of beasts. The monstrous mouth opened and closed, revealing writhing appendages that slowly reached toward Liangshan. "I shall refine you into a research preservation elixir," it bellowed, just when everyone least expected it. The grotesque orifice clamped around Liangshan's head. He had almost no opportunity for resistance, as he was swiftly consumed, starting from his head in an instant. Zhuge Hong, seated nearby, witnessed the scene with utmost clarity. His body trembled uncontrollably, yet he fixed his gaze firmly on the book before him. Zhao Yan, seemingly carefree and untroubled, now felt a chill of horror creep into his heart, daring not to breathe a word. Anyone witnessing this spectacle would be gripped by terror, swiftly followed by waves of nausea. The most mortifying of all was Yi Feng. It is well known that men are more prone to bladder distress due to the longer urethra. Yet, Yi Feng's current condition had rendered his urethra permanently shortened due to unavoidable circumstances. At this moment, amidst the horrifying scene, he lost control of his bladder. Meanwhile, Su Yunzhou continued to munch on snacks, his expression unperturbed as he observed the unfolding events. However, he muttered under his breath with Liangshan's performance. There's no way he could survive past the first 10 stations. He then squinted, letting out a soft chuckle. Indeed, this fellow is not to be underestimated. In a fleeting moment, Zhang Jingyu had completely digested Liangshan, her maw opening once more to expel a white elixir. Su Yunzhou furrowed his brows. This substance appeared markedly different from his own research preservation elixir. Just then, a chorus of screams erupted from a few lackeys behind Zhang Jingyu. "Sister, you've refined a ting," they cried. "A ting, a ting." At this moment, Zhang Jingyu had reverted from her monstrous form back to her ordinary, plump self. Upon hearing their words, she was struck with disbelief. How could this be? She turned to see the creature that should have been transformed was now standing behind her, Liang Shan, still with his head lowered, appearing fearful to the point of silence. Zhang Jingyu was filled with a mix of shock and fury. What sorcery is this? How dare you harm my classmate? Liang Shan hurriedly waved his hands in protest. I did not. It's you who silence. Zhang Jingyu roared, her head morphing back into the monstrous maw as she lunged toward Liang Shan. In a fit of terror, he curled into a ball, only for a mushroom to sprout atop his head. Yes, you read that correctly. A mushroom. This fungus was larger than his entire body, and, as he crouched down, it completely enveloped him. Clearly, this was the effect of a skill. When discussing his particular skill, one must inevitably mention his inherent talent. Timid mushroom, type, talent, effect. With each upgrade of the train, one acquires a unique skill exclusive to the timid mushroom. These skills are immensely powerful, yet magnify your character flaws. Apologies for the mushroom, trouble, type, skill level, B effect 1, passive trigger. When faced with a potentially lethal threat, immunity to that instance of damage is granted. If there is a discernible attacker, there exists a probability of bewildering them, causing them to strike an erroneous target. Built-in cooldown, 128 hours. Effect 2, active trigger, or upon triggering effect 1, a mushroom sprouts atop your head, capable of absorbing the majority of both tangible and intangible attacks. This mushroom remains until you engage in any meaningful action, after which it vanishes. Cooldown, 24 hours. Description, sometimes, if fear is present, why not crouch down and give it a try? Chapter 74. I am a graduate student. Who dares to challenge me? The current situation is thus. As long as Liang Shan remains still, he is invincible. Clearly, the attack power of Senior Zhang Jingyu is insufficient to breach the defenses of the mushroom. Even if she were to attempt to swallow the mushroom whole, she would ultimately regurgitate it due to her inability to digest it. How infuriating! Zhang Jingyu's knuckles whitened as her fury manifested. Yet reason told her that attacking the mushroom would be a futile expenditure of energy. Thus, she shifted her gaze to Liang Shan's deskmate, Zhuge Hong. Zhuge Hong sat upright, his posture impeccable, hands neatly placed on the books spread across the desk, his eyes fixed intently on the pages. Then, a scene unfolded that left Zhuge Hong utterly horrified. The text on the pages twisted as if alive, reconfiguring itself into grinning human faces, their eye sockets deep, bottomless voids, staring directly at him. Ah! He gasped in terror. Yet his body remained motionless, merely shutting his eyes tightly. Realizing that she could not exploit this boy, Zhang Jingyu turned her attention to the table behind, where Yifeng and Zhao Yin sat. Yifeng had his head lowered, shoulders trembling, a dampness in his trousers seeping down his thighs. A wave of shame coursing through him like an electric current. This behavior immediately drew Zhang Jingyu's scrutiny. What are you doing? Her voice rose sharply, laced with a judgmental edge. What S with the wet pants? Are you attempting to harass me? Yifeng frantically shook his hands. I didn't tea. I'm not. Stop making excuses. Your pants are soaked, and you still think you could deny it. Transform into my graduate school recommendation elixir. Wait. Yifeng's pupils constricted to their utmost, his will to survive eclipsing his embarrassment as he abruptly yanked at his waistband, pulling it down. Immediately, Zhang Jingyu realized that he had no tools for his alleged misconduct. Not only the other train conductors, but also Zhang Jingyu's entourage, including those within the library, turned their gazes towards this direction. Everyone regarded Yifeng with a look of astonishment and shock. It must be acknowledged that Yifeng was indeed the sole protagonist within this library at that moment. In a certain sense, he had truly played the role of the lead. Zhao Yin could hardly contain himself, bursting into laughter. Goodness, the Qing dynasty has been gone for so many years, and yet there are still eunuchs. Zhuge Hong stifled his laughter, his expression contorted in amusement. Su Yinzhao stepped forward in defense of Yifeng, asserting, Zhang Jingyu, you are slandering him. He possesses no tools for wrongdoing. So how could he harass you? Yifeng's face flushed crimson, feeling as though death would be preferable. Are you satisfied now? I could never harass you. Umph. After suffering humiliation thrice, Zhang Jingyu's fury intensified, and she immediately turned her gaze toward Zhao Yin. Zhao Yin, being a clever fellow, mimicked Zhuge Hong, taking a book from the side and feigning earnest reading. Umph. Zhang Jingyu snorted disdainfully before finally looking at Su Yunzhao. What are you staring at, you ugly monster? Never seen a handsome guy before? Do you want me to accuse you of harassment? You're asking for trouble. Ah, Zhang Jingyu completely erupted, her scream shattering the library's tranquility. The carnivorous plant in her sleeve opened once more, poised with murderous intent towards Su Yunzhao. Yet, Su Yunzhao merely raised his hand, expertly restraining her wrist. What a racket for slaughtering a pig. I will transform you into a research preservation pill. She roared, charging forward, only to be intercepted by Su Yunzhao. Wait, first tell me, what have I done? On what grounds can you arbitrarily drag me into becoming a research preservation pill? Or do you believe you can just turn anyone into one, just like you did with that lackey of yours? Upon hearing this, Zhang Jingyu's movements abruptly halted, a chill creeping down her spine. She sensed a sudden shift in her four followers' gazes, now cold and filled with the wariness of being considered mere fodder. Her steps faltered, and she truly refrained from further attacking Su Yunzhao. The latter smirked, having grasped the situation. There exists a perplexing notion within the realm of bizarre regulations. Despite possessing the ability to easily eliminate ordinary individuals, one must adhere to the same rules as them. At that moment, the repercussions of Zhang Jingyu's unwarranted aggression towards her subordinate began to manifest, excluding one who had already been dealt with. The remaining four followers regarded Zhang Jingyu with somber expressions. Wait, it was he who disrespected the senior. Zhang Jingyu protested. For a lower grade to disrespect a senior, an apology through kneeling suffices. There is no need for annihilation as punishment, a bespectacled girl behind Zhang Jingyu remarked, holding a red booklet. Despite her internal dissatisfaction, Zhang Jingyu turned to Su Yunzhao. Now, kneel and apologize to me, and I shall spare your life. Su Yunzhao remained seated, a light chuckle escaping his lips as he murmured, must those of lower education show reverence to those of higher education? What a remarkably pragmatic hierarchy. He continued, pray tell. Senior, what realm do you currently inhabit? Zhang Jingyu laughed heartily. I am a senior in my 4th year. Those beneath me must bow and pay their respects. Addressing me as senior, her expression turned fierce. Moreover, I stand merely a step away from the threshold of graduate studies. With just 10 more ordinary research preservation pills, I shall possess a 20% chance of ascending to the graduate realm. At that point, I shall stride through this strange university with impunity. There are scarcely 10 formidable graduate students in the entire institution. Su Yunzhao nodded, understood. Since you comprehend, hurry and bow an apology, and I may spare you, she commanded. Yet, Su Yunzhao remained unmoved. Zhang Jingyu's smile grew ever more menacing. No apology? Then I shall have no choice but to refine you into a research preservation pill. Before she could finish her threat, Su Yunzhao produced a pink pill. Zhang Jingyu's eyes widened in disbelief, her voice trembling. How is this possible? The legendary research preservation pill. With a 100% success rate. How could someone who isn't even a freshman possess such an extraordinary elixir? Humph, Su Yunzhao scoffed, already opting to use the preservation pill. Instantly, he secured his identity as a graduate student at this peculiar university. Rising to his feet, he declared, I am of the graduate realm. Who dares to act presumptuously? He looked down upon the once arrogant senior. Do you dare show disrespect to a graduate student? Zhang Jingyu's legs buckled, and she trembled uncontrollably, kneeling before Su Yunzhao. I am sorry. She bowed her head repeatedly. Meanwhile, Zhao Yin, Zhuge Hong, and Liang Shan, who hid under a mushroom, watched the scene with expressions of exasperation. Though Yifeng was unable to feel such discomfort. At that moment, their minds erupted with silent grievances. Why did this Su Yunzhao so readily accept such an absurd premise? To claim himself a powerful graduate student, does he not feel the slightest embarrassment? And how is it that he possesses a research preservation pill? What on earth is this? Unbeknownst to Su Yunzhao, the thoughts of those around him swirled in agitation. Regardless, he had indeed embraced this narrative with ease and immersed himself within it. After Zhang Jingyu had bowed her head numerous times, Su Yunzhao waved dismissively, You may leave. Should you dare to act presumptuously before me again, I shall show no mercy. Yes, we would never dare. Chapter 75. President of the Student Council. See as she once Zhang Jingyu and her entourage hastily departed from the library's entrance. The atmosphere within changed dramatically. The previously discreet onlookers shifted their gazes towards Su Yunzhou, their astonishment intertwined with admiration, their breaths growing notably quieter. Zhuge Hong inquired, "Brother Su, what is the situation? How did you suddenly become a graduate student here? And what is this graduate recommendation pill?" Su Yunzhou waved his hand dismissively, his tone nonchalant. Such trivial matters need not be discussed. He shifted his gaze, surveying the tightly shut windows of the library. "However, now that I am a graduate student, I am regarded as an official student of this institution, seemingly free from the confines of the library." Zhao Yan's eyes widened in disbelief. "You intend to leave the library? Isn't that courting death? Who knows what dangers lurk outside?" Yet Zhuge Hong quickly countered, "No, if Zhang Jingyu is correct, there are only 10 graduate students in this school. Brother Su can move about freely. Even if he encounters other graduate students, their status is not vastly different from his. As long as the rules are adhered to, there should be no danger." After speaking, Zhuge Hong glanced at Su Yunzhou. "Am I mistaken, Brother Su?" Su Yunzhou nodded slightly. "Generally, you are correct. But you have miscalculated one aspect." "What?" Zhuge Hong furrowed his brow. "Remaining in the library is akin to waiting for death," Su Yunzhou stated calmly. Tapping the table's edge with his fingertips, "Consider this. Why are there only 10 graduate students in this school? Would they simply ignore the sudden appearance of an 11th? Would they seek to recruit or to besiege a newcomer like me? Surely, they would not let it pass without action." At this point, Zhuge Hong instantly grasped the implication. Brother Su makes a valid point. I stand corrected. Just then, a clatter of books echoed through the library. Fina, clutching dozens of volumes piled high like a small mountain, stumbled over, sweat glistening on her forehead. "Boss, I wasn't sure what you like, so I took one from each category." Su Yunzhou directly instructed her, "Enough. You need not bring those." "What?" Fina exclaimed, bewildered. "Should I return them then?" "Just toss them on the ground," Su Yunzhou replied. Fina hesitated. "Isn't that inappropriate? I believe we should maintain some basic moral standards." With a casual motion, Su Yunzhou pushed all the books from her arms to the floor, then surveyed the room. He did not utter a word, yet immediately, over a dozen students stood up, approaching him with eager flattery. "Senior, allow us to assist you with the books. You need not do this yourself." In that moment, Fina was taken aback. Initially, these individuals had shown no interest in Su Yunzhou, yet now they were as attentive as courtiers before an emperor. What had transpired during her absence? Su Yunzhou spoke again. "All right, bring Hakimi and Wankai, and follow me outside." "Understood," Fina quickly replied. Su Yunzhou, accompanied by a person, a cat, and a dog, strode directly out of the library. The 4 train conductors remaining inside dared not follow, huddling in the corners. They understood well that lacking the protective status of a graduate student like Su Yunzhou, venturing outside would be tantamount to courting peril. Well then, it isn't as safe as it appears. The thoughts of others within the library varied greatly. At this moment, Yi Feng had yet to recover from the recent humiliation, quietly sobbing at his desk like a bullied little girl. Zhuge Hong spread open his book, yet his gaze did not rest upon the words. His mind was frantically sorting through the information about Su Yunzhou, resolutely deciding to investigate this man's background upon returning to the train. Zhao Yan's expression was one of displeasure. He could not tolerate Zhuge Hong's commanding demeanor. Naturally, he also harbored disdain for the attention-seeking Su Yunzhou. While this sentiment seemed akin to Yi Feng's self-righteousness, there existed a distinction. Yi Feng grappled with genuine psychological issues, perceiving everyone around him as mere NPCs, viewing others as inherently inferior beings. In contrast, Zhao Yan merely relished in ostentation and pretentiousness. Zhuge Hong had been directing and analyzing throughout, while Su Yunzhou had also put on a grand display, leaving Zhao Yan feeling decidedly affronted, his confidence shaken. As for Liang Shan, he had concealed himself under a mushroom for an additional 2 hours, only relinquishing his defense once he was assured of safety, returning to his seat. Meanwhile, Su Yunzhou had already exited the library. Just 3 steps beyond the library doors, he found himself surrounded by a group of students clad in black uniforms. They bore red armbands denoting their patrol team, their gazes filled with scrutinizing malice. "Are you a student of our university? Why have we never seen you before? If you are not a student, we must detain you." Hee, they cackled. "This bizarre university does not permit outsiders within. Please cooperate with our investigation." Su Yunzhou replied with a cold laugh. "You insignificant ants, you cannot even discern that I am a graduate student?" This loud proclamation instilled terror among the encircling patrol team. This pressure, he truly is a formidable graduate student. We were blind to our own ignorance. The patrol team promptly knelt before Su Yunzhou, bowing repeatedly and pleading for forgiveness. Su Yunzhou said nothing, allowing them to continue their penance as he stepped away. It seemed that even in the absence of a student ID, should I reveal my graduate student aura, these individuals would not dare to act rashly. Fina, utterly bewildered, remarked, "Boss, I've been in a daze since earlier. What does it mean to be at the graduate student level? Can those two words even be combined?" Su Yunzhou, shrouded in mystery, replied, "You wouldn't understand. This is a world that reveres academic credentials. In this realm, the higher one's education, the greater one's status. After consuming the research recommendation elixir, I have now attained the graduate student realm. The chasm between a graduate student and an undergraduate is as vast as a gaping abyss. Above graduate students, all are equal. Below them, all are mere ants." Fina gazed at him with wide, innocent eyes, still unable to comprehend Su Yunzhou's words. Ultimately, she decided against trying to understand. Yes, everything the boss says is correct. So what shall we do next, boss?" Su Yunzhou chose not to respond verbally. Instead, he produced a small booklet inscribed with the title The Erie University Student Handbook. The first entry stated that this handbook was compiled by the Student Council of Erie University, which retained the ultimate authority for interpretation and could amend the contents at any time. He swiftly skimmed through the remaining hundreds of entries before retracting the booklet. Let us proceed to the Student Council. Within the opulent embrace of a European-style chandelier, Xieshi reclined on a genuine leather sofa, elegantly grasping a glass of red wine. The liquid within glimmered a deep crimson, reminiscent of blood, under the peculiar light. As the president of the Student Council, Xieshi directed his gaze toward the stout-faced woman kneeling before him. "Are you saying that a new graduate student, whom we have never encountered before, has appeared in the library?" Zhang Jingyu repeatedly bowed, exclaiming, "Yes, indeed." Xieshi rose, lifting the glass of dark red liquid, unclear if it was wine or something else, and took a delicate sip. A new graduate student has frightened you all to this extent? How disappointing, considering you are still under my command. In terms of support, who in this university dares to oppose me? Xieshi? In terms of combat strength, our student council boasts a full complement of 10 graduate students. What could this newcomer possibly offer against us? How audacious of him to wreak havoc in my Erie University. Not even the principal's grandson commands my respect. Chapter 76. The Campaign for Student Council President. However, before he could finish his statement, the door to the student council was forcefully kicked open. "So, you possess a certain audacity, do you?" Su Yunzhou remarked, hands tucked into his pockets, a half-smirk gracing his lips, resembling a figure of formidable strength, his gaze firmly fixed on Xieshi. At that moment, aside from the kneeling Zhang Jingyu, there were 9 others present, all formidable graduate students. Upon seeing the man before him, Xieshi initially displayed an expression of astonishment, but it quickly morphed into one of condescension. "Indeed, you have chosen the path of the fool, coming here uninvited. If you intend to hide within the library, I might have found it difficult to deal with you, for the rules therein are beyond my control. Yet here, I wield the authority to amend the rulebook, and with the backing of a 56 approval rating at Erie University. What do you possess to contend with me?" Upon hearing this, Su Yunzhou immediately grasped a new attribute. Since his arrival at this peculiar station, he had already accepted numerous intriguing concepts. Support rate. The level of student support for members of the student council. The higher the support rate, the greater the combat enhancement for the council members. At this juncture, Xiaxi's countenance was rife with disdain. "You of all people are not even a member of the student council. You lack the capacity to harness the institution's power. What do you intend to challenge me with? Nay, you have overlooked a certain circumstance." Su Yunzhou finally spoke, his tone as calm as if he were stating an undeniable fact. "There exists a circumstance in which one is rendered powerless." Xieshi immediately exclaimed, "Impossible. I revised the entire code. There is no such rule." Su Yunzhou smiled and shook his head. "Ah, the code. How could you forget who bestowed upon you the authority to amend it?" The arrogance on Xieshi's face instantly froze, revealing a serious demeanor. "What do you mean?" "I intend to run for the position of student council president." Upon hearing this, Xieshi's expression shifted from astonishment to raucous laughter. "You wish to run for student council president? Do you even deserve it?" He gestured around at the members present. Let me make it clear, only graduate students are eligible to vote. These 9 are all my loyal supporters, and with myself included, that makes 10 votes. And you possess but a single vote. What makes you think you can succeed in this election? Do you believe you can defeat me? Absurd. Su Yunzhou snapped his fingers. How would we know unless we try? In the next instant, an invisible barrier enveloped the entire student council office, sealing off the space entirely. Zhang Jingyu, a non-graduate student, was unceremoniously ejected from the room and tumbled into the corridor. Immediately following, the Erie University broadcast crackled to life. A cold mechanical voice resonating in every corner. The election for student council president has commenced. Candidate 1, Xie Shi. Candidate 2, Su Yunzhou. Simultaneously, every electronic screen within the school began to stream the events occurring within the student council room in real time. At that moment within the library, the 4 train conductors who had disembarked with Su Yunzhou gazed at the scene before them with expressions of disbelief. Zhao Yin was utterly bewildered. We're still in the library, playing the fool, and this guy's already begun his campaign for student council president? Zhuge Hong pondered aloud. Clearly, this position of student council president is at least that of a minor leader. If Brother Su truly manages to defeat his opponent, who knows what could happen? What do you mean by that? Yi Feng, now intensely interested in Su Yunzhou's every move, inquired. Perhaps he possesses the capacity to command a portion of the school's influence. Commanding the school's influence? Zhao Yin, Yi Feng, and Liang Shan echoed in puzzled tones. Zhuge Hong sighed. It seems you are entirely unacquainted with the concept. This is what is known as leveraging power. Each station possesses its own world background and related events. If one can harness the strength of the locals, it can lead to unforeseen advantages. For instance, if Brother Su were to become the student council president, he could direct certain students to assist him in gathering resources within the school. Zhao Yin exclaimed in astonishment. It can be done like that? However, Zhuge Hong shook his head. To leverage power is not so simple. Observe the election methods for the student council president closely. It is nearly impossible for Brother Su to achieve success. The current standing is 10 votes to 1. Upon hearing this, Yi Feng felt a strange sense of relief. He spoke in a somewhat ominous tone. If Su Yunzhou fails, will there be punishment? Zhuge Hong nodded solemnly. Of course. Given the current tense atmosphere, should he falter, he will likely be besieged by the members of the student council. The situation for Brother Su appears exceedingly perilous. Liang Shan's eyes glimmered with fear. Should we not assist Su Yunzhou then? Yi Feng immediately countered. Assist? He brought this demise upon himself. Must we follow him to his doom? Zhuge Hong added. Even if we wish to help, we cannot even exit the library at this moment. How could we offer assistance? Zhao Yin sneered. Su Yunzhou only knows how to show off. Now he has effectively sealed his own fate. He deserves it. Upon hearing this, Yi Feng inexplicably felt a flicker of admiration for Zhao Yin. Just as he was about to agree, a chorus of anguished cries erupted from the screen. The student council president's election had yet to commence, yet Su Yunzhou brandished a dark talisman. This talisman, entirely black, bore a white seal character on its front, and as soon as it was unveiled, it exuded an aura of formidable righteousness that was palpable even beyond the screen. Exorcism Talisman. Banish evil spirits. Type. Item. Quality. Superior charge. 2. Initially 3. Effect 1. Upon use, all evil spirits within a 5-meter radius will suffer significant exorcism damage, lasting for 1 hour. Effect 2. The number of uses is modified to charging. Consuming 1 energy crystal allows for 3 charges. Evidently, these 9 so-called graduate students, or rather, the entirety of the peculiar university's populace, were akin to poets from Mei Pavilion. At this moment, Su Yunzhou wielded the exorcising artifact bestowed by his enigmatic ally, inflicting immense damage upon the 9 malevolent entities present. However, this talisman only possessed the capacity to damage spirits within its vicinity and lacked the ability to bind them. Otherwise, it would not merely be of superior quality. Quick, run! Xie decisively shouted, attempting to bolt towards the student council's entrance. The other members of the student council followed suit, with several even contemplating escape through the windows. However, the school's announcement chilled their hearts to the core. During the student council presidential election, both participants and voters were unable to leave the confines of that space until the election concluded. Damn it! Xie, she cursed vehemently. Yet, soon enough, He found himself at a loss for words. The searing pain engulfing them felt akin to bathing in molten lava. To be in such agony? It was a far cry from comfort. For them, even the notion of suffering was a luxury. Chapter 77. You come from Dandong indeed. This exorcising tool crafted by the underworld was formidable. Within mere seconds, all adversaries were vanquished. Su Yunzhou was exceedingly pleased with this talisman. Moreover, within its radius, these spirits inexplicably lost all means of attack, leaving them with no choice but to flee. Alas, what a pure act of brutality. The harrowing scene within the student council office has been broadcasted to every corner of the enigmatic university through electronic screens. Even from behind the screens, onlookers could perceive the despair and anguish etched on the faces of Xie Shi and his companions. These 10 individuals were not merely students. They were esteemed members of the student council, formidable graduate-level experts, ruthlessly extinguished with a mere flick of the hand. Who, pray tell, is this Su Yunzhou? At this moment, he stood alone within the election space, casting his ballot in favor of himself. The announcement reverberated once more. Su Yunzhou has ascended to the position of the new president of the student council at this peculiar university. Following this, the election reached its conclusion. However, Su Yunzhou's endeavors were far from over. Upon his accession to the presidency, the booklet previously held by Xie Shi materialized in his hands. Su Yunzhou perused its contents. The regulations listed within were an exhaustive compilation of the school's rules. Regardless of their strictness, the penalties were exceedingly severe. For instance, tardiness to class warranted decapitation. Smacking lips in the cafeteria resulted in tongue removal. Failure to partake in physical education led to a sentence of dismemberment. And littering in trash bins forced one to consume the refuse. Though not as draconian as the rules of a certain high school from his past life, the severity of these punishments was indeed outrageous. How could Su Yunzhou endure such tyranny? Having once been a student himself, he was acutely aware of their tribulations. Thus, he resolutely waved his hand and proclaimed, 1. The school shall not hold early morning classes. Do not trust anyone who insists otherwise. 2. The cafeteria will provide unlimited servings, and the staff's hand shall remain steady. 3. Romantic relationships are permitted within the school, but behaviors such as being a turtle, a scumbag, or a sycophant are strictly forbidden. 4. In a library, one may scratch an itch without fear of being reported for sexual harassment. Just as he inscribed the 4th rule, an unseen hand inexplicably appeared, erasing it without a trace. Su Yunzhou stroked his chin, pondering. Even the student council cannot influence the library? This library certainly possesses formidable power. In light of such circumstances, Su Yunzhou found himself powerless. He could only draft new regulations, establishing unmonitored classrooms as additional study spaces for all. Upon the release of these guidelines, every student soon realized that the peculiar rules of this university were not nearly as stringent as those from their previous lives. At this juncture, Su Yunzhou had already become a member of the student council and noticed a new value manifesting before his eyes. Support rate, 63. Moreover, as his directives were implemented, this support rate steadily climbed. Within mere minutes, it had surged beyond 70. Suddenly, Fina's anxious voice echoed from outside. Boss, the students outside have surrounded us. What is happening? I don't know, but they are chanting to crown you as the new principal. A smirk crept upon Su Yunzhou's lips as he stepped out of the student council room. He gazed downwards, where hundreds, if not thousands, of individuals had congregated, obstructing the main thoroughfare of the school. Su Yunzhou descended, simultaneously initiating an appropriate background score. He intended to seize this moment to garner additional support. His original plan involved a stirring musical piece to ignite the collective spirit of the students, rallying them to storm the principal's office. Speaking of the principal, his malevolence knew no bounds. The least of his transgressions was the installation of all the air conditioning units in his office, rendering it perpetually frigid, akin to an ice chamber, while the other students of this peculiar university struggled in unbearable heat. One might ponder the principal's moral standing. However, the background music that randomly played was an unexpected tune. You came from Dandong, return my pure white, a jarring shift in atmosphere. Su Yunzhou had envisioned himself as a pioneer, a leader, yet here he was, resembling a general instead. As this music resonated, his support soared rapidly, surpassing 90 within mere minutes, and continuing to rise. The students on either side parted to create a path. The scene unfolded as follows. Su Yunzhou, gently swaying across the horizon, transformed into tears of awakening. Amidst the cheers of the students, Su Yunzhou emerged from the crowd, ascending to the platform in the playground. Unbeknownst to him, a perceptive individual had handed him a microphone. Instinctively, he raised his right hand at a 45-degree angle, but fortunately, he restrained himself. That wretched principal, exploiting students, embezzling funds, bullying the weak, and favoring his cronies. As long as this principal lives, the students of this peculiar university shall forever languish in suffering. Today, all students, follow me into the principal's office. Let us vanquish this tyrant, so that every student may enjoy the comfort of air conditioning. Armed and ready, follow me. Down with the principal. Let us install air conditioning. Roar. Air conditioning, air conditioning, air conditioning. With a cacophony of various sounds erupting from the crowd below, Su Yunzhou incited the entire student body. Under his leadership, they charged forth like a battalion of warriors towards the principal's office. The situation had reached a boiling point. Whose domain was this peculiar university, after all? Inside the office, the corpulent and greasy principal watched in shock and fury, realizing the audacity of this Su Yunzhou. Seize this rebel. Come, apprehend him. Yet even his guards, too, had been swayed by Su Yunzhou's fervor. Bang, bang, bang. In the next moment, the door to the principal's office was forcefully breached. Several muscular men acted as a universal key for Su Yunzhou, effortlessly smashing open every door. As Su Yunzhou entered amidst the crowd, an intensely chilling aura enveloped him, causing an involuntary shiver. However, the students who followed him displayed expressions of sheer ecstasy. The temperature, the coldness. Even idling here for a day would surpass the arduous 24 hours of cultivation I endure outside, living in this bizarre place, where the temperature hovers around 30 degrees. Is this principal even human? Merely a beast. He is worse than a beast, setting his office temperature below 10 degrees while refusing to install air conditioning for us. At that moment, Su Yunzhou grasped the situation. Air conditioning was evidently a strategic resource at this strange university, akin to a spiritual gathering formation in the world of cultivation. Without the chilling aura, it was as if cultivators were living in a realm devoid of spiritual energy. They could not practice. With this realization, he acknowledged that the principal was indeed a prime example of a true beast. Chapter 78. The new principal of the bizarre university, meanwhile. On the main road outside the principal's office, banners were densely hung. Su Yunzhou has arrived, bringing clear skies. Su Yunzhou has arrived, bringing peace to the bizarre university. Some individuals shouted through loudspeakers, their voices cutting through the crowd. We shall support Lord Su Yunzhou as the new principal of the bizarre university. Naturally, the principal within the office heard the raucous proclamations. This is rebellion, absolute rebellion. I am the principal, the sole emperor of the bizarre university. Who dares defy me? The principal's pig-like visage contorted in rage, his corpulence quaking with his shouts. Su Yunzhou, observing the principal before him, couldn't help but chuckle. Second senior brother. Why abandon your role as a virtuous guardian to become the principal of the bizarre university? The pig-headed principal retorted fiercely. What second senior brother? I am the gluttonous demon of the realm of all demons. How dare you, a traveler from another world, speak to me in such a manner? For those like you who drive trains, I shall slay you on sight. With a thunderous roar, the pig-headed principal lunged towards Su Yunzhou. In response, Su Yunzhou raised his hand to retrieve the talisman of evil spirits repulsion. The principal sneered. Save your efforts. This trinket is effective only against spirits. Yet, I am a demon. Do you truly believe it can harm me? Su Yunzhou put it away, casually expressing gratitude. Thank you for the reminder. It seems I must exert my full strength to defeat you. Wu Huan Zhao Yun, activate. Swift as the wind, he unleashed his power. A 3-meter-tall, silver-armored general materialized behind him, wielding a long spear with imposing presence. Simultaneously, his speed surged to a terrifying level. Tenfold, and it was no jest. Moreover, this state would persist for a full half-hour. It is known that encounters between masters often occur in the blink of an eye. 7-strike serpent spear. Zhao Yun, wielding his martial spirit, thrust his spear with fervor, the tip dancing to create a flurry of spear blooms. Illusory images of long spears swirled like serpents brought to life, swiftly lunging towards Principal Pig. The principal barely had a moment to react before being pierced by several grievous wounds, deep enough to expose bone. Dark blood trickled down his body, causing him to grimace in agony. His momentum halted. At that moment, he had yet to grasp the impending attack from Su Yunzhou. Su Yunzhou's next strike, or rather, his martial spirit's subsequent assault, came forth with a technique. 100 birds facing the phoenix. The blossoms of the spear fell like rain, densely peppering the corpulent figure of Principal Pig, instantly creating numerous gaping wounds, black blood splattering across the ground. A mournful wail erupted, reminiscent of a pig being slaughtered. "You are already dead," Su Yunzhou coldly proclaimed, marking the demise of the porcine principal. Yet, the principal continued to writhe in desperation. Overpowered by Su Yunzhou, he could only squirm on the ground like a lump of fat. If one cannot envision this scenario, one may search for Liangzi push-ups on Bilibili and view the first video. "You cannot kill me. I am a servant of the sin of gluttony from the land of demons. If you slay me, you shall face the relentless vengeance of Lord Gluttony. He will surely avenge me." Su Yunzhou scoffed dismissively. "Is that all? If your threats hold such little weight, then you might as well perish." A person who had already caught the attention of the breeding mother had no reason to fear the 7 deadly sins. Strong? He had never heard of them. With a final thrust, he pierced the heart of Principal Pig. Accompanied by a heart-wrenching scream, the principal's life extinguished, his massive form collapsing lifelessly to the ground, thus concluding his nefarious existence. Su Yunzhou received a notification. System notification triggered. "You have completed the hidden task. Eliminate the eccentric university principal. A slight alteration in the world line has occurred. Your support rating at the eccentric university is detected at 98. Fulfilling the conditions for appointment. You have become the new principal of the eccentric university. This identity will remain permanent and will not vanish upon leaving this location. Reward: 1 blue treasure chest, acquired. 1 demon power." Su Yunzhou opened his backpack and indeed found 2 new items. One was a chest radiating with blue light, and the other, a pitch-black hexagonal crystal, glass-like in texture, yet exuding an eerie sheen. Blue treasure chest, type, chest quality, perfect effect, guarantees a minimum of 9 energy crystals and 1 perfect grade item. There is a chance to obtain up to 13 fine or perfect grade items, with a very small probability of acquiring an epic grade item. Description: a rare high-value chest from the train station. Missing it would result in significant loss. Power of the demons, type, consumable quality, perfect effect upon use. Randomly acquire the power of a demon spirit. Note: this effect is irreversible and may cause irreversible damage to one's sanity. Description: do you yearn for power? Gazing at the information of the 2 rewards, Su Yunzhou suppressed his excitement. He redirected his focus to the present. The principal had already been slain by him, with the corpulent body being carried away by the students. The principal's corpse emanated abundant, ghostly energy, enveloping the entire campus. All the students began to greedily absorb this ghostly energy. It had been a long time since they had consumed such energy. Su Yunzhou pondered briefly, then summoned a student to inquire, "What is happening now? Are they consuming the principal?" The student, not daring to show any disrespect towards Su Yunzhou, quickly responded, "New principal. We are partaking in the principal's ghostly energy. You may not be aware, but this bizarre university, as a realm of the underworld, thrives on ghostly energy. Each graveyard produces ghostly energy. For instance, our university generates between 20,000 to 30,000 units annually. However, this greedy principal hoarded all the ghostly energy for himself. We students couldn't even get a taste of incense in the cafeteria, while the principal smuggled pre-prepared meals from the mortal realm for us to consume. How could we possibly stomach that? Even the dogs of the underworld wouldn't touch such things. And the incense sent from a mortal realm was all devoured by this gluttonous principal, leaving only his relatives and the student council with any benefit, while we, the students, are left with nothing. Upon hearing this, Su Yunzhou silently nodded and waved his hand. "All right, you should hurry and eat some before it's all gone." Hearing this, the student realized that the new principal was indeed generous towards his subordinates. He vowed to follow him for life. Su Yunzhou returned to the principal's office. Inside, there was a special panel that allowed him to exercise part of the principal's authority, such as admissions, expulsions, disciplinary actions, personnel changes, expeditions, and strategies. Wait, were those last 2? After tinkering for a while, Su Yunzhou understood how to operate the system. He immediately waved his hand. A Appoint Fina Angelo as the Secretary General of the Bizarre University. Appoint Hakimi as the President of the Student Council of the Bizarre University. Appoint Wang Kai as the head of the Logistics Department of the Bizarre University. This moment could be described as one gaining enlightenment, while the others ascend to greatness. However, just as Su Yunzhao defeated the principal, an unforeseen event erupted in the library. Liang Shan lay in a pool of blood, convulsing in agony. Zhao Yan grasped a long spear, his gaze fierce, yet he was drenched in blood, his face contorted in rage. The remaining Yi Feng and Zhuge Hong were not faring much better, all bearing wounds. Chapter 79. The Hidden Boss, the Goat Demon within the library. The four adversaries confronted an entity of peculiar nature. Towering at 3 meters, the creature was shrouded in an inky blackness. Boasting a grotesque goat's head and a powerful tiger's body, it possessed 6 human legs, each step reverberating through the ground. Zhuge Hong had already activated his reconnaissance skills, uncovering fragments of information about this creature. Name: Goat Demon Strength. Tier 3 Skills: Eerie Wail, Area Mental Attack, Consciousness Torment, Single Target Mental Erosion. Illusory Ray, Ultimate Mental Attack. Suddenly, a piercing bleat erupted, its sound piercing the minds of the four like needles. Yi Feng, Zhao Yan, and Liang Shan instantly clasped their heads in despair, their faces ashen, while only Zhuge Hong gritted his teeth, enduring the onslaught, beads of cold sweat forming on his brow. In terms of physical prowess, the combined might of these four could indeed vanquish the goat demon with ease. Despite its imposing stature, the creature's physical resilience was surprisingly low. However, it was precisely this creature's uncanny mental assault that posed a significant threat. Aside from Zhuge Hong, who could barely withstand such mental incursions, the others were rendered utterly helpless. As the goat demon emitted another eerie cry, the unfortunate Liang Shan collapsed to the ground once more, his body involuntarily convulsing. His expression contorted in agony as his limbs twisted in unnatural angles. The human body, under normal circumstances, could not contort in such a manner, as joints would prohibit it. Yet, in this moment, under the goat demon's mental assault, his limbs indeed contorted into grotesque positions. This scene instilled a profound fear in the hearts of the remaining 3. It is worth noting that the other students in the library had long since fled to join the throng when Su Yunzhou was elected president of the student council, rallying to confront the principal. Now, only these 4 remained, reluctant to depart from the scene. Yi Feng, witnessing this harrowing spectacle, felt a surge of despair. Were they truly destined to perish here? Zhuge Hong shouted resolutely, "Do not give up. This creature is all show and no substance. We can defeat it." Hearing these words, Zhao Yan was consumed by frustration. The incessant chatter was unbearable. He detested those who merely spoke without action. With a fierce swing of his spear, he charged recklessly at the creature, determined to fight to the bitter end. "Beast, taste my spear." By a stroke of fortune, he seized the precise moment following the goat demon's wail, thrusting his spear into the creature's side. The spear struck the goat demon's skull, and an eerie purple blood began to seep from the wound, staining Zhao Yan's arm. Zhao Yan had no time to release his weapon before the purple blood coiled around him, his arms feeling as though they were being gnawed upon by countless ants. In reality, his arm sustained no physical harm. However, the goat demon's mental assault inflicted a level of terror that rendered him vulnerable to unimaginable psychological anguish. In the midst of Zhao Yan's anguished wails, a stream of energy flowed from his body, merging into that of the goat demon. The creature's aura intensified noticeably. Su Yunzhou entered the library, exhaling a resigned sigh. If you continue to bestow the goat demon with your suffering, it will inevitably transform into a monstrosity that even I cannot vanquish. If I had arrived a moment later, you would have inadvertently raised a formidable boss for me. Upon entering, he cast a cold smirk at the goat demon, remarking, "Indeed, the library's independence from the school's influence is due to your presence." As Zhao Yan, Liang Shan, and the others prepared to further contribute their pain to the goat demon, Su Yunzhou sprang forward, unleashing a silver crossbow bolt with precision. The goat demon, a denizen of Western malevolence, was struck by the silvery arrow imbued with purifying holy power, hitting it squarely in the head. The goat demon, aware that it could not withstand such an arrow, had intended to evade from the outset. However, evading a lock-on shot is no simple feat. The crossbow bolt penetrated the goat demon's skull, piercing through to the other side. Yet, astonishingly, despite its brain being impaled, it continued to move, defying death. One could only commend its resilience as a creature of mental prowess. The goat demon emitted a bizarre howl, and a violet beam shot forth from its forehead, hurtling towards Su Yunzhou. Zhuge Hong quickly realized that this was the goat demon's ultimate move, Illusory Ray. Should this beam strike Su Yunzhou, the consequences could be dire. "Be careful," he shouted, but the beam, moving with blinding speed, struck Su Yunzhou before he could finish his warning. Despair enveloped Zhuge Hong. He understood that without Su Yunzhou, their quartet stood no chance against the goat demon. Moments later, however, Su Yunzhou remained standing, completely unharmed. A pitch-black mask, devoid of any design, had mysteriously appeared on his face. A mere trick, he chuckled lightly, charging forward once more. This time, he unleashed a trio of magical crossbow bolts aimed directly at the goat demon's head. After executing its ultimate move, the goat demon had succumbed to a state of weakness. At that moment, even a mere step onto its head from Su Yunzhou would guarantee its demise. System notification triggered. You have slain the hidden boss of the library, Goat Demon. Main quest cancelled due to alterations in the timeline. Restrictions lifted. All conductors may return to the train at any time. Acquired. Eye of the Goat Demon acquired. Fusion Furnace, one-time use. Yi Feng, Zhao Yin, Zhuge Hong, and Liang Shan struggled to rise from the ground. Their physical injuries were not severe. It was the mental assault that had nearly pushed them to the brink of collapse. Upon the demise of the sheep demon, several individuals promptly retrieved their healing potions to tend to their respective injuries. Having previously endured the tribulations at the trade station, they had adequately stocked their supplies and were no longer at risk of complications from minor wounds. Among the four, Liang Shan bore the most severe injuries. He repeatedly nodded in gratitude towards Su Yunzhou before producing a peculiar talisman. Rending the talisman asunder, his form vanished from the sight of the others, presumably returning to the carriage. Zhuge Hong, sustaining the lightest injuries, rose to his feet and bowed in gratitude to Su Yunzhou, expressing his sincere appreciation for the assistance rendered, promising a substantial reward upon their return to the train. Su Yunzhou merely nodded in acknowledgement, regarding such statements with indifference. Naturally, should the promise be fulfilled, he would not object to cultivating another friendship. Meanwhile, Yi Feng observed Su Yunzhou with a tumultuous blend of inferiority and jealousy swirling within his breast. In a fleeting moment, this sentiment fermented into animosity. Su Yunzhou's prowess was now sufficient to effortlessly vanquish an adversary that Yi Feng could never hope to defeat, leaving him sprawled upon the ground like a mere dog. Was this truly the demeanor befitting a protagonist? Was he not, instead, a pitiable jester? Conversely, Zhao Yin harbored no such contemplations. However, witnessing Su Yunzhou's display of superiority ignited a sense of dissatisfaction within him. He mused himself, what pretense? He merely possesses equipment that counters psychic attacks. Had I been similarly equipped, that monster would be no match for me. The trio, having gathered themselves, prepared to depart the library and return to their respective trains, harboring no desire to linger in that place. Yet, Su Yunzhou's voice abruptly resonated through the air. You two truly lack respect for me. I saved you, yet you offer no gratitude whatsoever. At his words, both Zhao Yin and Yi Feng trembled involuntarily. Yi Feng, terrified and nearly paralyzed, hastily exclaimed, thank you, Brother Su, for saving my life. Witnessing this spectacle, Su Yunzhou was momentarily taken aback. It appeared that the loss of his masculine traits had a more profound impact than he had anticipated. The former Yi Feng had not been so easily frightened. On the other hand, Zhao Yin, though begrudging, also inclined his hands in thanks. After receiving Su Yunzhou's nod, the two silently exited the library and returned to the train. Once the other train leaders had departed, Su Yunzhou gestured grandly, search. In an instant, hundreds of students surged forth from either side, their movements chaotic as they began rummaging through the library. The cacophony of overturned shelves and scattered books created a tumultuous atmosphere as they diligently assisted Su Yunzhou in his quest for treasure chests. According to Su Yunzhou's established logic, treasure chests could not only be acquired through the completion of tasks or the defeat of bosses, but also concealed within the shadowy recesses of the platform. Indeed, these treasures were often hidden in particularly obscure locations, the nature of which could be exemplified by Su Yunjo's initial stop at the Wugue village. The library spans a vast area and comprises 3 stories. Without guidance, he would never have been able to navigate it alone. Thus, he promptly mobilized 100 students, granting them a reprieve from classes to assist in the search. The students, brimming with enthusiasm, eagerly volunteered. Within just 2.5 hours, they had thoroughly scoured the library. At last, beneath a table of a different hue, they discovered a blue treasure chest hidden within the floor's recesses. Meanwhile, Fina was also in action, accompanied by Wang Kai. She had similarly organized 100 students who were urgently transporting supplies from the cafeteria to the train. These provisions consisted of ready-made meals that could endure in frozen conditions for 2 to 3 years without issue. Consequently, even the freezing equipment was moved onto the train by Su Yunjua. Given his current standing, no one in the school dared to oppose him. Everyone cooperated wholeheartedly, executing his orders with gratitude. As for the concerns regarding Su Yunjua's removal of food, what would the others eat? Well, after the principal's demise, the specter of embezzlement would no longer haunt the provisions. It was more prudent for Su Yunjua to allocate these resources equitably among all students of the mysterious university, rather than hoarding them for himself. These mundane tasks did not require his direct involvement. He entrusted Fina with full authority to manage them. Meanwhile, he returned to the train to begin inventorying their supplies. Together, he and Fina, along with the Hakimi, had enough food resources to last an entire year. They had also filled 50 tons of water, readily available for use. Indeed, Su Yunjua no longer worried about basic necessities. Blue treasure chest, power of the demons, eye of the goat demon type, item, quality, perfect effect. Upon activation, it consumes 1 point of spiritual energy per second. Enemies gazing into the eye of the goat demon will endure mental torment. If an enemy makes direct eye contact, the intensity of their suffering triples. Description: a bag of rice has a certain elevation. Fusion furnace, one-time use. Type: consumable, quality, perfect effect. By inserting 3 pieces of equipment of identical quality and type, one can fuse them into a new piece of equipment that will not be inferior to the quality of the original 3. Furthermore, this new equipment has a chance of inheriting certain traits from all 3 items. Description: you assemble the head. As Su Yunjua surveyed these items, his gaze swept over them, and he began to allocate points accordingly. Currently, he was not lacking in bronze points. However, silver points remained scarce, accruing at a rate of only 1 point every 48 hours. Insufficient indeed. Furthermore, he faced a new dilemma. He had previously promised to grant Hakimi a second enhancement, yet now he wished to bestow a second enhancement upon the blue treasure chest as well. After much contemplation, Su Yunjua ultimately decided against it, believing he would likely acquire more blue treasure chests in the future. Upon reaching the first station after ascending to the second level, I am able to acquire 2 blue chests, with the expectation of obtaining more subsequently. It seems prudent to bestow them upon Hakimi first, as he is deserving of such a reward for his diligent efforts. As for the notion of retaining 1 blue chest for future use when new silver points become available, that does not align with Su Yunjo's philosophy. He believes in converting all resources into immediate combat power without delay. First, let's examine the 2 blue chests, each possessing unique special effects. Blue chest 1 type. Chest quality. Perfect effect 1. Guarantees the acquisition of 9 energy crystals and 1 perfect grade item, with a chance of yielding 13 refined or perfect grade items, and a very slight chance of obtaining an epic grade item. Effect 2. Designate an equipment type to receive a random assortment of 13 items of that type, with quality ranging from perfect to epic. Description: specialization in equipment, capable of yielding superior and rare gear. Blue chest 2, type, chest quality, perfect effect 1, minor effect 2, provides a random skill book with potential for growth. Description: who among the citizens of the Great Xia can resist the allure of agricultural development? For the first blue chest, Su Yunjo opts for a weapon, as he intends to wield 3 weapons to combine them in the forge. Subsequently, upon opening the 2 blue chests, he acquires a total of 18 energy crystals, bringing his total to 28. Due to the effect of the falling energy crystals, his daily consumption for training amounts to 2 crystals. With appropriate background music enhancing his training, he can absorb 3 experience points per hour. Training for 10 hours a day yields him 30 experience points, while concurrently consuming 3 energy crystals. The items obtained from the chests include For perfect grade items, 2 refined grade items, and 1 skill book. White deer tanged out type, weapon quality, perfect attack, high physical attack. Effect. Each attack on an enemy increases agility by 1 point, stacking up to 10 points, lasting until the battle concludes. If fully stacked, it grants an additional 15 damage reduction. Description. Yo-yo, the deer calls, feasting upon the wild fruit. This is a tang dao measuring 80 centimeters in length. Commonly referred to as a broadsword, entirely snow white with the characters white deer engraved upon the blade. Tiger's wing 1, type, equipment quality, perfect effect, grants the ability to fly. Strength 5, agility 10. Limit, feline creatures including but not limited to tigers, leopards, catgirls, and chimeras. Description, like a tiger gaining wings. These are a pair of wings, pure white, measuring only 10 centimeters in size in Su Yunzhou's hands, yet seemingly capable of transforming freely according to the wearer. There is truly no hesitation required regarding this item. It is undoubtedly intended for the use of the mysterious feline. Excellent. It does not seem to neglect Hakimi. Let us proceed to the next item. Chapter 81. Inventory check. Mark B style dual guns. Type. Weapon quality. Perfect attack. Moderate physical damage unaffected by the user's physical attributes. Effect 1. Upon wielding this weapon, 1 automatically acquires the skills of dual gun, shooting, and simultaneous loading. Effect 2. After consecutively hitting the same target, beginning with the 16th shot, the bullet damage is modified to true damage for a duration of 30 seconds. Description. Do not inquire about my identity. The dual gun shall reveal the answer. The gun's body is a dark silver hue of cold forged steel, with a stock that fits the palm, intricately adorned with thorns in a reverse spiral pattern. One must admit, these dual guns are remarkably stylish. Su Yunzhou held them in his hand, giving a slight shake, executing a dashing spin of the gun's body. A splendid item indeed. It feels as if the dual guns are extensions of my own hands. Stowing away the dual guns, Su Yunzhou continued to examine the next item. Again, it is a weapon, but cruise missile cannon, type, weapon quality, perfect attack, high physical damage unaffected by the user's physical attributes with area damage. Effect 1. Fires cruise missiles. The shooter gains visual access to the missile's perspective and can manipulate its trajectory. Effect 2. A missile is automatically generated every 12 hours, with a maximum storage of 2. Description. Come. Block the bridge. Come. This resembles a handheld rocket launcher, entirely cloaked in a matte black finish, with the muzzle embedded with a ring of silver patterns. Additionally, it features a display screen, allowing the user to see the missile's forward view at any moment. Having surveyed 4 perfect grade items, Su Yunzhou found nothing he deemed worthless. However, with the remaining 2 items of fine quality, he felt a tinge of disdain. One was an ordinary submachine gun, although it earned a fine quality rating, indicating its considerable value. Su Yunzhou currently possessed an abundance of weapons. The other was not an equipment piece, but a rather unique item. Compressed tent. Type. Item. Quality. Fine effect. Upon use, it automatically expands into a fully constructed tent, equipped with basic sleeping bags and carpeting. Description. Guess what can grow larger and taller? Lastly, there was a skill book. Su Yunzhou was momentarily taken aback. An E-grade skill? Skill book. Dreaming Blade 7 styles. Type. Skill book. Skill level. E-grade skill summary. An active sword technique. Mastering each additional style doubles the damage and effects of all techniques within this blade art, while also elevating the skill level. Currently, only the first technique, the Dreaming Blade S Shattering Strike, is recorded. One must thoroughly master the preceding technique before continuing to learn the next. The Dream of the 7 Styles, brimming with infinite potential, reveals its profound intricacies the deeper one delves into its study. Upon mastering the complete 7 styles, one finds oneself akin to a fleeting dream. Reflecting back upon it, this technique is the epitome of excellence. After perusing the skill description, he comprehended its essence. So this is what they refer to as a growth-oriented skill? Though it may appear rather feeble at the outset, with persistent dedication to learning, it can evolve into a formidable ability. He chuckled with anticipation, eager to allocate points. The quantity of items at his disposal was indeed substantial. Even Su Yunzhou, who typically believed his bronze points were sufficient, discovered that after enhancing his skills, merely 18 bronze points remained. Well, that is still quite ample. Contemplating for a moment, he retrieved the furnace. Fusion furnace, single use. 1. Effect. by inputting 3 pieces of equipment of identical quality and type. One can fuse them into a new piece of equipment that surpasses the quality of the original 3. Moreover, there is a significant chance that the new equipment will inherit some characteristics from all 3 original pieces. The description bore little distinction, remaining a single-use item. However, it assuredly guaranteed the production of equipment exceeding the quality of the original 3. In other words, should Su Yunzhou input 3 perfect pieces of equipment, he would undoubtedly receive an epic item. Subsequently, Su Yunzhou pondered and decided to input the Holy Silver Crossbow 1, the finest fully automatic pistol in the town 1, and White Deer Tang Sword 1. Please select the new equipment's main body. White Deer Tang Sword, automatically selecting to inherit the characteristics of the remaining 2 pieces of equipment. New equipment generation in progress. Then, that dark red iron cauldron consumed all 3 pieces of equipment. Shortly thereafter, a cacophony reminiscent of chewing steel reverberated through the air. 30 seconds later, a brand new Tang Sword emerged in Su Yunzhou's grasp. His choice of the Tang Sword as the main piece of equipment was the result of careful consideration. Firstly, he had acquired 2 brand new ranged weapons, Mark B dual pistols and cruising missile cannon. Furthermore, his dream of the 7 styles necessitated the possession of a sword-type weapon. This Tang Sword also bore the characteristics of the other 2 weapons. Upon examining the attributes of this new equipment, Su Yunzhou felt a surge of exhilaration. His very first epic-grade equipment made its grand entrance. Sealing magic type, weapon quality, epic attack, extremely high physical attack. Effect 1. Inflicts significantly increased damage against fiends, spirits, and monstrous entities, with the amplification ratio varying between 100 to 1000 depending on the adversary's strength. Effect 2. This weapon has an enhanced likelihood of inflicting critical hits upon striking enemies, adding an extra 100 critical damage. Effect 3. Each attack on an enemy accumulates 1 point of all attributes, stacking up to a maximum of 25 points, lasting until the battle concludes. If fully stacked, it grants an additional 30 damage reduction and immunity to control effects. The probability of encountering quality issues with this sword is virtually 0, and its lifespan is guaranteed to exceed 1,288 years. This weapon, capable of vanquishing demons and exterminating malevolent spirits, purges the universe of all evil. Subsequently, Su Yunzhou decisively enhanced this weapon, which already possessed 4 attributes, by adding yet another. With this weapon in hand, the wielder's swordsmanship is augmented by an additional 100 points, which has no effect when the weapon is not held. What does a swordsmanship enhancement of 100 points signify? The disparity is akin to the difference in physical prowess between Su Yunzhou before and after his participation in the Train Survival Challenge. It exemplifies the distinction between the extraordinary and the mundane. Grasping the enchanted sword, Su Yunzhou was eager to wield it. The space within the train was sufficiently ample for him to seek that elusive essence of sword intent, further accompanied by carefully selected background score. A stirring melody resonated throughout. Oh, run 111, 11511, 1155, 5555, 111115. Su Yunzhou felt his sword slicing through the air with remarkable speed, 6 strikes per second, each executed with unparalleled finesse. Yet, something felt amiss. This did not seem to be the sword intent he sought. He then examined the randomly generated background music, realizing it was purely ominous in tone, causing a momentary lapse in his understanding. The effect of this music was a significant enhancement to his attack speed. At this juncture, Chapter 82, The Undying Mysterious Cat 2, like a tiger gaining wings, unfolds as the mysterious cat returns from outside the train. It strides in with an air of indifference, its demeanor now exuding a touch of sinister energy after its encounter with the terrifying library. Su Yunzhou sheathed the enchanted sword and embraced Hakimi, playfully squeezing the cat. Although the mysterious cat displayed an expression of resignation, it showed no resistance, accustomed as it was to the whims of foolish humans. Su Yunzhou then fixed his gaze upon the cat, anticipating the appearance of a 2 above its head, ready to invoke its transformation. Mysterious cat, super evolution. Invincible Tyrannosaurus, supreme, mysterious cat. The evolved cat appeared even more extraordinary, its ebony fur shimmering with a subtle yet eerie aura. Rather than immediately checking the cat's attributes, he retrieved another item. Tiger's Wing 1 effect grants the ability to fly. Strength 10, Agility 20. Limitation, feline species. The first enhancement did not result in a qualitative change. Rather, it merely doubled the existing attributes. Yet, this was sufficient. Previously, the mysterious cat had little combat prowess aside from shielding Su Yunzhou from harm. However, the situation had dramatically changed. The mysterious cat had transformed into a combat-ready feline, proving that one cat could surpass 6. Hey. Let me see the attributes of this little kitty. Undying Spirit Cat 2. Type, Pet Quality, Perfect Effect, Undying Mystic Cat. The Mystic Cat possesses 99 lives, with each skill release consuming a corresponding number of lives. During rest, if the Mystic Cat has less than 99 lives, it will gradually restore its lives based on the comfort level during rest until it reaches 99 lives. Current lives, 99. Effect 2. Spike Back Dragon Form. Consumes 1 life. When a Mystic Cat or its master is in peril, it will transform into the spiked back dragon form to absorb substantial damage. If it dies in this form, it will consume lives to re-enter the spiked back dragon form in a fully restored state. Effect 3. Elegant Cat Claws. Consumes 3 lives. Performs a series of elegant claw strikes on enemies ahead, with the damage amplification corresponding to the number of consecutive strikes. 10 strikes restore 25 health. 25 strikes grant an additional 30 attack power. 50 strikes restore 3 lives, and 100 strikes permanently increase all attributes by 1 point. Effect 4. Wings of the Cat. Passive, grants the ability to fly. Active, consumes 1 life. Dashes forward, ignoring all physical collisions and rendering the cat invulnerable during the dash. Description. Can you call Hakimi? Call him Cat Lord. After reading the description, Su Yunzhou couldn't help but scoff. What kind of nonsense is calling him Cat Lord? Yet, looking at this skill, it's undeniable that this creature is indeed formidable. 99 lives? Is that number plucked from thin air? How long would one have to stand there to whittle down 99 lives? The Mystic Cat has evolved into the Undying Spirit Cat. Simultaneously, it boasts a pair of pure white wings that beautifully contrast its black fur, resembling a cat embodying the essence of a Taiji diagram. With Hakimi by my side, what is there to fear in this world? What empire cannot be built? Su Yunzhou embraced Hakimi, playfully ruffling its fur, appearing exceedingly satisfied. The current Hakimi not only grew stronger, but also became more adorable and dashing. If only it could shed those indifferent, dead fish eyes. The transformation is undeniably striking. Hakimi seems to have sensed something amiss. Firstly, it feels a peculiar itch in its mind. Thoughts that it had never contemplated before continuously spring forth in its consciousness. What is the purpose of a cat's life? Am I here in this world merely to consume cat food? Do other sentient cats exist within the universe? Shouldn't the awakened cats assist those who have yet to attain enlightenment? Gah! Unexpectedly, as a cat, Hakimi emitted such a sound. It vigorously shook its head, trying to cast away the chaotic thoughts swirling in its mind. Then, it scampered to the cat food bowl, incessantly tapping on it with its paws. After Su Yunzhou fed Hakimi, he turned his attention back to the items enhanced from the library visit. This time, he truly reaped substantial rewards, significantly enhancing his combat prowess. I have Torment 1. Type, Item, Quality, Perfect Effect. Upon activation, the eye hovers above the user's head, consuming 1 point of spiritual energy per second. All enemies directly gazed upon by the eye will experience intense agony and suffer continuous mental damage. Description. At the very least, this thing can kill. Quite a remarkable item. Indeed. Su Yunzhou nodded in satisfaction. Previously, he had to hold the eye in his hand and direct it at his foes. Now, it hovers above him, automatically locking onto enemies. Moreover, its power has significantly increased, inflicting mental harm as well. Mark B. Dual Pistols. Type, Weapon Quality, Perfect Attack, Moderate Physical Damage. Unaffected by the user's physical attributes. Effect 1. Slight. Effect 2. Slight. Effect 3. Active Skill, Rotating Barrage, unleashing a barrage upon all enemies within a circular range. Cooldown, 12 hours. While there were no apparent changes, a new active skill effect has emerged. A barrage of suppressive fire, perhaps? Super Cruise Missile Cannon. Type, Weapon Quality, Perfect Attack, High Physical Damage, unaffected by the user's physical attributes. Area damage, burning damage, will not harm allies. Effect 1. Fires cruise missiles. The launcher can gain visual access to the missile and control its trajectory, allowing for greater flight distance and improved precision. Effect 2. A cruise missile is automatically generated every 4 hours, with a maximum storage of 6. With this remote firepower suppression, even when faced with hordes of enemies, I now possess the means to resist. I now lack for nothing. Wait a moment, there seems to be one more item. Power of the Demon Lords. Well, Su Yunzhou hesitated, contemplating whether to utilize this item. Although it could grant him the power of a demon race, it might also adversely affect his sanity. Su Yunzhou has no desire to become a mindless beast, nor does he wish to transform into a mindless monster. Should I allocate a point to test it? Power of the Dark God. 1. Type. Consumable quality epic effect upon use. It grants mastery over the full potential of a Dark God spirit that aligns with the user's attributes. Note, if the level of recognition by the Dark God falls below data deleted, it may lead to data deleted. Description: please refrain from attempting. It was originally a gamble worth taking. Now, Su Yunzhou is utterly reluctant to use it. Chapter 83. Abyssal Lord Fina. What mischief are you up to now? Why has such pure Dark God energy suddenly appeared in your vicinity? Though I cannot ascertain whether you are behind this, my intuition tells me that you are once again up to something grand. Su Yunzhou firmly denied, I am not. He was acutely aware that the onlookers could not hear his words. The sentiments of the spectators were palpable. It was clear that he, Su Yunzhou, could never utilize this entity. At the very least, the audience would not appreciate such a spectacle. What once resembled a crystalline force, the power of countless demons, had now morphed into a pulsating heart. The veins upon its surface were vividly discernible, and the pulse resonated with the vigor of a living heart. Your evil god's approval is exceedingly low. Will you utilize the power of the evil god? Su Yunzhou opted to decline. Just as he contemplated concealing this strange object, he heard Fina's voice enter the scene. Boss, everything is taken care of. Su Yunzhou smiled. Well done. We have 2 hours until departure. You should rest for a while. Boss, I'm not tired. I haven't done any heavy lifting. She gestured towards Wang Kai nearby. Most of the heavy lifting is done by Wang Kai. You know, boss, Wang Kai is incredibly strong. Su Yunzhou waved his hand and said, Wang Kai, charge. The display screen on Wang Sai's head illuminated with an expression, and it trotted over to the charging port, plugging itself in automatically. What a worry-free and diligent little dog. At that moment, however, Fina knelt beside Su Yunzhou, gently massaging his leg. Master, there's another adorable dog that needs charging too. Su Yunzhou raised an eyebrow. Then you should go charge with Wang Kai. That's not what I meant. Fina pouted, embracing Su Yunzhou. Suddenly, an unexpected event transpired. The jet black heart inexplicably soared from Su Yunzhou's backpack, forcefully burrowing into Fina's body. Her complexion soured, and she froze in place. Boss, have I caused trouble? Fina was on the verge of tears, though Su Yunzhou felt a twinge of anxiety. He maintained his composure and calmly instructed, don't panic, just slowly let go of me. Simultaneously, he promptly examined Fina's attribute panel. No changes were evident. Fina obediently released her hold on Su Yunzhou, stepping back to stand still. To his astonishment, the heart bizarrely penetrated through Fina's clothing and flesh, embedding itself within her chest. Su Yunzhou could no longer sense the heart's presence. Do you feel anything unusual? Initially, Fina exhibited no discernible changes, but soon her face flushed crimson, akin to the effects of intoxication. Shortly thereafter, her skin began to radiate a rosy hue. Master, I feel energy coursing through my limbs. It's so delightful. Minutes passed, and Su Yunzhou observed black impurities gradually exuding from Fina's body, accompanied by an unpleasant odor. Having read numerous tales of cultivation and martial arts, he mused, a marrow-cleansing pill? A sinew-washing elixir? Is this truly that extraordinary? Su Yunzhou once again scrutinized Fina's attribute panel, discovering that the effects section remained unchanged. However, the three-dimensional attributes were escalating at a pace of a point every 10 seconds, swiftly surpassing 20 points across all attributes. Subsequently, the rate of increase began to decelerate. Vitality and agility ceased to improve, yet psychic energy continued to rise. Once psychic energy reached 45 points, there was a complete stagnation. At this juncture, Fina was enveloped in a repugnant odor, her entire body shrouded in a layer of black filth. With her eyes firmly shut, she dared not even weep. Nana, I truly am at my wit's end this time. However, the voice of Su Yunzhou sparked a flicker of hope within her. Fear not, it should be fine. First, Take a bath. All right, okay, boss. 2.5 hours later, Fina emerged clean. The grime washed away was sufficient to entirely blacken a bucket of clear water. Boss, Fina is filthy, Su Yunzhou remarked, a twitch at the corner of his eye. It's all right, as long as you're clean. But I can't get it all off. Fina protested. You need to be more resolute. If you embrace the determination to scrub off a layer of skin, you will surely clean up well. Shall I assist you? Fina promptly concealed her expression, replying, Boss, I believe I am quite clean. Su Yunzhou guided Fina to sit on the bed. So how do you feel now? Strength, psychic power, and agility have all become remarkably powerful. It hardly feels like my own body. Su Yunzhou furrowed his brow. Have you felt any peculiarities in your mental state? Perhaps hearing strange voices? Fina blinked her big, innocent eyes. Not at all. Everything feels perfectly normal. Su Yunzhou scrutinized her. Why do I feel as though you have been possessed? Let me have another look at your attribute panel. This time it was different. Fina Angelo type, pet quality, epic, mythical potential, effect 1, saintess of the divine cult. Once the saintess of the breeding divine cult, she now holds the potential to be a saintess in any religion. You wonder if she can become a saintess in the Church of Light? Absolutely. Who decreed that the saintess of light cannot be a chosen one of the dark gods? Effect 2, chosen of the dark gods, gaining unanimous approval from the dark gods. All of them hold her in high regard, believing she is worthy of passing on their teachings. However, the dark gods are not generous. I reiterate, demons only engage in trade. Effect 3, Archmage, exceptional magical capacity, extraordinary spell intensity, and remarkable spell learning ability, with a chance to intuitively grasp advanced and transcendent spells. You possess the capability to develop your own spells. However, your primary focus should be on mastering the fundamentals of spellcraft. Effect 4, Lord of the Abyss. The realm of demons is constructed atop the abyss, and even the strongest warriors of the demon army do not dare to tread lightly into the depths. For the miasma there enhances demonic beings, but also erodes their sanity. And you are the Lord of the Abyss. Description: she wandered through the realm of demons, able to acquire the heavenly demon chaotic art for merely 10 energy crystals. Aspiring to inherit the title of demon god, she believed she would be cherished as a beloved daughter. She was, after all, born as a demon core. A series of revelations left Su Yunzhou utterly bewildered. No matter how formidable his evil godly power was, it was merely an epic-level item, was it not? Yet, Fina's attributes were astonishingly outrageous. Epic quality, mythical potential. Su Yunzhou had once thought his own attributes were unparalleled. However, he soon realized that the true statistical anomaly was the mysterious cat, with 99 lives. Was such a concept even conceivable? He had assumed the mysterious cat was invincible, only to discover there were indeed other experts. Whose subordinate was this? It turned out to be his own. Thus, there was nothing to worry about. Is it not said that truth lies within the cannon's range? Presently, Su Yunzhou's tone toward Fina had softened considerably. Fina, do you need to replenish your magic? Chapter 84. Level up to 8 3 hours later. Su Yunzhou chuckled softly as he tucked the slumbering Fina in with a blanket. It seemed she was still rather feeble in terms of stamina. He smiled while gazing out the train window at the gradually descending sun. The train had long since returned to the desolate landscape. As soon as they re-entered the barren land, a bizarre assortment of monsters, whose origins were unknown, began to chase the train. However, once the train's speed increased, they were quickly left behind. Ever since ascending to the second tier, encounters with attacks had become commonplace. Yet, with the train's remarkable speed, it appeared exceedingly difficult for these monsters to catch up. Most trains currently in operation were at levels 2 or 3, traveling at speeds of around 60 kilometers per hour. Any slower, and the risk of being pursued by monsters would rise. In contrast, Su Yunzhou's train had already reached level 4, maintaining a minimum speed of 80 kilometers per hour. Soon, the setting sun disappeared beyond the horizon, ushering in the night over the desolate expanse. After consuming a light meal, Su Yunzhou took out energy crystals and began his training. The combat prowess of Hakimi and Fina had rapidly improved, which in turn motivated Su Yunzhou. Incidentally, his experience points acquisition had escalated from 1 point per hour to 3. Over the subsequent 48 hours of travel, Su Yunzhou spent nearly half of that time engaged in training. Your level has risen to level 8, earning 1 free attribute point. Current experience points, 1280. Your attribute enhancement talent has leveled up. Current effect, 1 bronze point per hour, 1 silver point every 24 hours. Similarly, he had also gained 1 new silver point. After a moment's contemplation, Su Yunzhou decided to allocate points to Fina. After all, Hakimi had reached level 2, and there was no reason for Fina to remain inferior. However, upon completing the point allocation, Su Yunzhou found himself momentarily stunned. Fina Angelo 2 type, pet quality, epic, mythical potential, effect 1. Holy Maiden of the Church, brief, effect 2. Choice of the Evil God, brief, effect 3. Grand Magus, brief, effect 4. Lord of the Abyss, brief, effect 5. Fated Bond, level 1. Immune to control, brainwashing, and hallucinations, etc. Under no circumstances will it betray Su Yunzhou. Due to the significant disparity in life levels, further enhancements may yield unpredictable results. Thus, the focus has shifted to elevating the bond level. Description, briefly. Clearly, this time, Fina has not been allowed to further enhance herself. Instead, it has augmented Su Yunzhou's control over Fina. While somewhat unexpected, Su Yunzhou harbors no disappointment. True power lies in the ability to wield the forces at one's command. Uncontrollable might is merely a double-edged sword. With this assurance, Fina's loyalty is guaranteed, and she cannot be swayed by errant capabilities, which leaves Su Yunzhou quite satisfied. Who wouldn't cherish a powerful and absolutely loyal subordinate? Moreover, after spending considerable time together, Su Yunzhou finds it increasingly difficult to regard Fina merely as a subordinate. She is more akin to a companion and comrade in arms. At this moment, Fina is meticulously tending to the interior of the train, cleaning, feeding the cat, and cooking. These tasks, if left solely to Su Yunzhou, he would undertake personally. However, if someone else can assist, he would be loath to lift a finger. Fina, perceptive as ever, turns and meets Su Yunzhou's gaze. Boss, what are you staring at? Is there something behind me? Su Yunzhou shakes his head and candidly replies. Your silhouette is quite enchanting. I cannot help but gaze a little longer. Well, your front is equally delightful. Hearing Su Yunzhou's compliments delivered with such nonchalance, Fina's cheeks flush. This master truly lacks any sense of modesty, showering me with sweet nothings. She swears she was never like this before. As time passes in the train, with Su Yunzhou, Fina gradually realizes that she feels increasingly numb to such matters, her body seemingly indifferent to them. Yet, whenever Su Yunzhou beckons with a mere gesture or utters a few casual words, she finds herself uncontrollably stirred. It's exceedingly peculiar, truly bizarre. Su Yunzhou remains unaware of her thoughts. He merely spoke instinctively without much consideration. The truth is, Fina is undeniably beautiful. Her figure is exquisite, graceful and alluring, blooming with vitality. He was merely stating the facts. He never anticipated it would cause her such distress. Blushing, Fina resumes cooking while deftly shifting the topic. We will soon arrive at the next station. Let us eat quickly to replenish our strength. Su Yunzhou nods and glances at the gluttonous cat, Hakimi, devouring its food. Hakimi, be sure to fill up. Soon you shall grow and become my mount. Indeed, since becoming an immortal feline, Hakimi has mastered the ability to alter his size. He can transform from the diminutive stature of a kitten to that of a small van, and he can control this transformation at will. This means that Hakimi could even assume the form of majestic tiger or leopard, allowing Su Yunzhou to ride upon him. Su Yunzhou can already envision the scene. Atop a colossal black cat with pure white wings, brandishing a magical seal, he descends like a sovereign. Clad in armor and wielding weapons, he lies in wait for the opportune moment. However, this grand plan quickly unraveled. Firstly, Hakimi was utterly uncooperative, doing everything in his power to dislodge Su Yunzhou. Secondly, Hakimi's back was not designed for riding, and Su Yunzhou had no saddle. In short, sitting directly upon Hakimi's back proved to be quite uncomfortable for Su Yunzhou. Hee, the fish soup is ready. After cooking the fish caught today from the never-empty army's fishing hook, Su Yunzhou and Fina began to enjoy the delectable broth. Fina gazed at Su Yunzhou with eager anticipation. Boss, this fish has no small bones, just large ones. Do quickly take a piece of fish meat and taste it. It's delicious. Initially, Su Yunzhou intended to let Hakimi have a taste, but upon reflection, he decided against it. Hakimi lifted his head from the food bowl, his eyes resembling those of a dead fish, glaring at Su Yunzhou. All right, fine, I'll give you a piece. Just as Su Yunzhou was about to toss a piece of the fishtail to Hakimi, he suddenly received a message. Qin Ruoshui, why have you stopped selling food recently? Have you exhausted your supplies? I can sell you some rice and flour. Su Yunzhou pondered for a moment before opting not to reply directly. Instead, he took a photograph of the 4 dishes and a soup on the table and sent it. The recipient remained silent for a full 10 minutes without responding. This spread of 4 dishes and a soup was particularly exquisite, rivaling that of certain restaurants in presentation. However, in reality, aside from the fish soup, which Fina had freshly prepared from today's catch, the other 4 dishes were all pre-prepared meals. Eventually, Qin Ruoshui replied, with so many dishes, can you finish them all by yourself? If you plead a little, I might begrudgingly help you out. Su Yunzhou chuckled. In truth, these dishes were not an excessive amount. It was still Su Yunzhou and Fina dining together. As their physical attributes had enhanced, their bodies no longer conformed to normal human standards and, consequently, their food requirements had multiplied. Chapter 85. The Healing of the Angel, Raphael. Qin Ruoshui, I'll offer you a crystal of energy if you share some dishes with me. Aren't we friends? Su Yunzhou stroked his chin. In reality, a single energy crystal could purchase enough staple food for an ordinary person to last around 5 days. But that was merely staple food. Most trains lacked refrigerators, and the notion of vegetables and meats was laughable. Additionally, kitchen utensils like pots and pans, as well as seasonings such as salt, oil, and MSG, were in short supply. In summary, while it was not difficult to stave off hunger, ensuring every meal was rich in both meat and vegetables often proved unattainable, even with energy crystals. Food serves not only to satiate hunger, but also to offer spiritual fulfillment. Within the confines of this train, attaining such satisfaction proves to be quite challenging. One must either possess a companion, like Zhao Yin or Su Yunzhou, who can navigate the intricacies of the entertainment world, or resort to indulgences such as tobacco and alcohol, literature, or various diversions. A mere handful of individuals may be fortunate enough to possess gaming consoles, smartphones, or computers to engage in some form of entertainment. Nonetheless, spiritual enjoyment remains exceedingly scarce aboard the train. Following the satisfaction of basic material needs, individuals instinctively seek out spiritual pleasures. Su Yunzhou pondered over Qin Ruoshui's message, wavering in his response. Su Yunzhou, you could indeed consider us friends. Su Yunzhou, but would you sever ties with me? Qin Ruoshui, I would. Su Yunzhou. Qin Ruoshui, by the way, what does severing ties entail? Su Yunzhou, forget it. I'll share what I have. I'll get a meal box for you. A moment later, Qin Ruoshui gazed at the meal box brimming with dishes and a bowl of fish soup that Su Yunzhou had thoughtfully prepared, her eyes brimming with tears. Reluctantly, she devoured 5 bowls of rice, relishing every bite. Delicious, absolutely delightful. Inside Yi Feng's train compartment, after some time of treatment, he no longer experienced excruciating pain. Yet a dull ache lingered. Truly, I am favored by fate to acquire a perfect grade consumable at the very first stop of the 2nd tier. Given that many might be disoriented by the allocation of points, I must clarify. The 1st tier station typically corresponds to ordinary quality, with a 1% chance of yielding fine quality. The 2nd tier station, on the other hand, corresponds to fine quality, with a 1% chance of obtaining perfect quality. Yi Feng's fortune at the 11th station was remarkable, as he was matched with Su Yunzhou. Due to Su Yunzhou's dominion over the throne, every station he encountered was of the highest level and quality. When Su Yunzhou instigated a student siege on the principal's office, only the 4 of them remained in the library. Thus, Yi Feng and Zhuge Hong began to search the library together. Yi Feng's luck was nothing short of astounding. He discovered a perfect grade item. This perfect grade consumable was a small, pure white statue, palm-sized, depicting a gentle goddess with 6 wings. Angel's Blessing, Raphael, type, consumable quality, perfect effect, summons a manifestation of Raphael and provides a suitable 3-choice blessing based on a user's current condition. Description: only demons engage in transactions. Angels bestow blessings upon you. Admiring the exquisite statue, Yi Feng found himself entranced. After a prolonged moment of contemplation, he decided to use it. Subsequently, the statue gradually transformed into a stream of white light, coalescing before Yi Feng into a breathtakingly beautiful woman of human stature. Identical to the statue, her voice resonated ethereally, as if emanating from the depths of a distant valley. Human, I'm one of the 12 angels, the divine healer Raphael. Do you wish to receive my blessing? A surge of elation surged through Yi Feng's heart. Everything had returned. Indeed, he was the protagonist. The preceding trials were merely a prelude to his triumph. Ahead lay a path illuminated by promise. I am willing. I am willing, Yi Feng exclaimed, nearly shouting the words. The exquisite woman smiled warmly, her fair hand gently caressing Yi Feng's cheek. Given your current circumstances, I present you with 3 choices for blessings. Please consider them carefully. Amidst Yi Feng's excitement, 3 choices materialized before his eyes. 1. Obtain the sunflower scriptures, mastering formidable powers, but you shall forever forfeit your male identity. 2. Acquire the special skill of the protagonist's halo. Upon activation, it will bestow mysterious aid when you find yourself in dire straits. 3. Enhance your body by implanting a more powerful and superior reproductive organ, transforming into a complete human form. Gazing upon these options, Yi Feng hesitated. He yearned for them all. Power, the protagonist's status, and the dignity of manhood. He desired them all. Yet, such a trifecta was evidently unattainable. Thus, he found himself ensnared in a dilemma. However, Raphael clearly would not afford him ample time for contemplation. You have only 10 minutes to decide. Should you fail to choose by then, you shall receive nothing. At this, Yi Feng's heart became a tempest. He craved power, yet longed to embody the protagonist. But after being soundly defeated by Su Yinzhou in the arena of death, he understood that the so-called halo of the protagonist might pale in comparison to sheer power. Power was the essence of all, yet, should he opt for power, he would irrevocably lose his masculine capabilities. An internal battle raged within Yi Feng. Countless voices clamored in his mind, a cacophony that pained him. Without power, you could protect nothing. As the Holy Son, you have been bested by another man. Reduced to a servant of the Holy Maiden, the protagonist's halo is paramount. Do you not wish to be the protagonist? Has this not been your lifelong aspiration? This is your singular chance to reclaim your manhood. Who knows if another opportunity will arise for you to become a true man? What a protagonist! What a power! Have you ever seen a eunuch become the male lead? Ultimately, the tumult in his mind subsided. Yi Feng's eyes were bloodshot, yet clarity dawned upon him. I choose 3. I wish to become a man once more. Before he could finish his declaration, Raphael interjected, No problem. I shall fulfill your wish at once. Heavenly angel, grant you the supreme blessing. A surge of extraordinary energy flooded into Yi Feng's body, followed by a radiant orb of white light emanating from Raphael's hand, which likewise entered Yi Feng's being. Mere seconds later, Yi Feng sensed that the persistent pain in a certain area had finally subsided. I am healed. I'm whole again. In his ecstatic state, he momentarily disregarded the angel's presence beside him. However, he soon realized that something was amiss. No, it cannot be. Why is it still concave? Then, he heard the angelic voice, ethereal and beautiful. Yes, the surgery was a resounding success. You now possess female organs of a higher caliber than those of ordinary humans. You shall never face miscarriage or difficult labor when you bear children. Moreover, a delightful tidbit. You will no longer suffer from menstrual pain, and as your estrogen levels rise, you will become increasingly charming, with a fuller bosom. Indeed, this operation was simply flawless. Yi Feng's face turned ashen as he knelt upon the ground, crying out to the heavens, no. Chapter 86. True 3 Kingdoms unmatched. Raphael furrowed her brow, her tone becoming stern. I have fulfilled your desires. What more could you possibly want? Yi Feng's eyes burned crimson. You have made a grave error. I was originally male. Why have you bestowed upon me female organs? Raphael, feeling quite exasperated, thought to herself how challenging it was to be an angel. Demons were far more straightforward. They upheld their agreements without hesitation, and if one dared to renege, they would face immediate retribution without mercy. Yet, as a forthright angel, Raphael continued, Shall I remove them then? Yi Feng nodded eagerly. Hurry. With a wave of her hand, a sphere of light once again erupted from Yi Feng's body, followed by an intense pain radiating through his legs. Soon after, Raphael declared, All done. Now, I must take my leave. I have fulfilled your wish. Yi Feng felt a sense of unease wash over him. He had returned to the state of a man devoid of any masculine traits. What wish have you granted me? Raphael frowned, her voice rising in pitch. You chose to have the organs implanted, and I obliged. Now that you wish to discard them, I have removed them too. I have effectively granted you 2 wishes. Do not twist my words, you contemptible human. Yifeng's face flushed with anger at her words. What kind of angel are you? You are nothing but a demon. A devil. Raphael's exquisite visage darkened with ire. What devil? I am an angel. Devils do not offer blessings. They only seek transactions. Yifeng, though displeased, paused to reflect and refrained from escalating the confrontation. He was no longer the naive newcomer he once was. Then, you must allow me to choose once more, for I seem to have gained nothing in terms of blessings. At this moment, Yifeng came to a realization. He would undoubtedly choose the protagonist's halo. Such a thing must be beneficial. With the protagonist's halo, he would surely find a way to restore his complete male form in the future. Raphael immediately contemplated refusal. She had no desire to serve such a lowly, bothersome, and utterly disrespectful human. However, she suddenly reconsidered. Very well, extend your hand. Yifeng, without a hint of suspicion, complied. Soon after, a system notification ignited a surge of fury within him. You have lost 30 years of your lifespan. In the next instant, Yifeng felt as though his body was rapidly aging. Although he still appeared youthful, deep lines began to etch themselves across his face, and strands of white hair emerged conspicuously. The speed of his deterioration accelerated dramatically. Yifeng stammered, almost incoherently. What have you done to me? Raphael, wearing an expression of helplessness, replied, I am extracting the energy necessary for you to make a new choice. Do you expect me to provide it for you? How naive of you, lowly human. Enraged, Yifeng retorted, you should have informed me beforehand. The stunning angel regarded him with an expression of amusement. Inform you beforehand? Did I not already make it clear? Only demons engage in transactions. We angels merely bestow blessings. If I were to inform you in advance, how would that differ from a transaction? Gasping for breath, Yifeng could hardly believe what he had just heard. Only demons engage in transactions? So, angels not engaging in transactions simply meant coercive exchanges? To hell with it. Consumed by rage, Yifeng lunged toward the exquisite angel, throwing a punch. The angel was struck, her form dissipating like a mist scattered by the wind, vanishing entirely. It was then that Yifeng realized he had unwittingly sacrificed 30 years of his life. Come back. Return to me. What nonsense is this angelic figure? Come back. Ha ha ha. Sobbing and laughing, Yifeng began to run wildly through the train, slamming his head against the window, a figure of madness. This time, no one could come to his aid. After losing fate card breeding, the breeding goddess was no longer able to monitor Yifeng's situation in real time. Moreover, following the goddess's overt interference in the train survival game, the observers had strengthened the train's independence. Now, even the observer, the initiator of the game, could not ascertain the train conductor's specific circumstances. He would have to relay messages through system notifications. Of course, this did not imply that the gods were entirely incapable of intervening in the train survival game. It merely meant that any intervention would be akin to playing tic-tac-toe at level 33. As they sought to intervene, a long-term strategy was imperative, akin to playing a game of Go with 100 stones. After a fit of rage, Yifeng regained his composure and discovered a skill card within the confines of his train compartment. Skill card, protagonist aura, type, skill card quality, C grade effect. When you find yourself on the brink of death, as long as you can afford the cost, you will be granted the slightest chance of survival, however minuscule or absurd it may seem. Description: the protagonist dies in the first episode? How could I possibly dream such a thing? Is this all there is? A mere C-grade skill in exchange for 30 years of life? Is this what they call the protagonist's aura? Damn angels! What kind of angels are these? They are nothing short of devils. I will not let this band of angels escape my wrath. If I become powerful enough in the future, I shall surely eliminate this angel named Raphael. At this moment, an unseen figure hovered in the air, observing Yifeng's every move. The exquisite visage sighed in resignation. Ah, humans never express gratitude towards angels. They only demand incessantly without a hint of appreciation. Su Yunzhou, oblivious to the torment Yifeng endured, would likely respond with a mere remark. You brought this upon yourself. From the very beginning, it was Yifeng who instigated the conflict with Su Yunzhou, who was merely reacting in self-defense. Yifeng's current predicament stemmed, on one hand, from the dissatisfaction of the observers regarding the breeding process. It was unthinkable to truly execute a deity. Thus, their ire was unleashed upon Yifeng. On the other hand, it was also a consequence of Yi Feng's character flaws. Had it been Su Yunzhou, he would have sought clarification when Raphael presented 3 options. He would rather abstain than make an uninformed choice. Su Yunzhou never believed in charity. He only engaged in transactions. The train will arrive at the station in 10 minutes. All conductors, please prepare. Next stop, True Three Kingdoms Warriors, difficulty, level 2, type, 30 persons, danger level, moderate, reward level, abundant, special note. Move in the opposite direction of the start to obtain a command seal for mobilizing 200 cavalry. Chapter 87, Yuli. Please note, at the next station, followers cannot accompany you and you must disembark alone. Conductors who do not disembark within 3 minutes of the train stop will be unable to exit. This platform is a special large station. Conductors may only return to the train once the battlefield narrative concludes. However, if one finds an item that allows retreat to the train during this station's events, they may return mid-narrative, but must still wait a full 12 hours before departure. At this time, within the G2 area, where over 8,500 individuals remained, 30 heard this announcement. They are all encountering a station capable of accommodating 30 individuals for the first time. Among them, some have heard of the game Dynasty Warriors and possess a modest understanding of its content. Su Yunzhao is one of them. In Dynasty Warriors, regardless of the scenario, the maps are expansive enough to accommodate 30 players, yet he remains uncertain about the circumstances that will unfold. Su Yunzhao is unaware of which dungeon they're destined for, nor does he comprehend how an ordinary train conductor could struggle for survival in such a chaotic battleground. Although his physical prowess certainly exceeds that of the average person, it only permits him to contend against dozens or even hundreds, and that too, unarmed. Should opponents wielding swords and bows charge at him, he would undoubtedly find himself powerless. After all, he is not a superhuman. Nevertheless, most train conductors are equipped with firearms. Even if the generals possess extraordinary abilities, the foot soldiers would still fear bullets. With an infinite supply of ammunition from a Gatling gun, it might be possible to sweep the entire battlefield. While Su Yunzhao was still pondering these thoughts, 10 minutes had already elapsed. He returned Hakimi to its pokeball and briefly instructed Fina before departing from the train. Outside the train doors, a swirl of white light awaited him. Without hesitation, he stepped into the brilliance. Upon regaining his vision, he found himself at the entrance of a tent. The autumn wind howled, stirring up clouds of dust. Several hundred soldiers stood in formation on the hillside, led by 3 men who bore distinct appearances. Su Yunzhao stroked his chin. Have the numbers replicated the game as scenarios? In a true battlefield, the area would not be so confined, and the number of combatants would be counted in thousands or even tens of thousands. However, this is ultimately a game constrained by performance limitations, and thus the quantity of foot soldiers on the battlefield is inherently restricted. Of course, this world shares a striking similarity with GTA. The supply of soldiers is infinite. In theory, for every enemy defeated, another would emerge. Only by capturing strongholds can a region cease the spawning of additional foot soldiers. Yet, these are merely Su Yunzhao's insights. He would not be foolish enough to completely transpose the game's mechanics onto this reality. At this moment, he noticed 2 individuals by his side. One was clad in a form-fitting black combat suit, adorned with pockets filled with various bullets and magazines. Her long black hair was tied into a ponytail, exuding a clean and aloof beauty. This was Qin Ruoshui. Yet, after spending time together, Su Yunzhao had come to understand her well. Her level of abstraction was on par with his at the very least, were it not for her feminine modesty. She would undoubtedly have begun to elbow him with a fierce resolve. On the other side stood a golden-haired girl with twin ponytails, possessing a somewhat youthful appearance, an enchanting young beauty. However, from Su Yunzhao's perspective, based on her attire and demeanor, she appeared to be no mere child, but rather a pampered university girl. Qin Ruoshui and Su Yunzhao exchanged little dialogue. After all, the situation was unclear and a third person was present. The girl with twin ponytails shot Su Yunzhao a glare upon noticing him, exclaiming in a delicate tone, "What are you staring at, you perverted lowly enthusiast?" Su Yunzhao thought to himself, is it truly that evident? Who could be spreading such rumors? Indignant, he protested that he was not attracted to Lolis. His preference lay firmly with mature women possessing long hair. Yet, he recognized the futility of asserting this in front of Loli, aware that it would only raise suspicions of guilt. Thus, he deftly shifted the conversation, inquiring, "What is your name?" At this, Even Qin Ruoxue regarded him with a look typically reserved for lowly enthusiasts. The ponytailed girl took a significant step back, brandishing a round object with a wary expression. "Stop. If you all dislike me so much, I'll just leave." With that, Su Yunzhou feigned exasperation and began to retreat slowly. The ponytailed girl paused momentarily, while Qin Ruoxue stroked her chin, deep in thought. Subsequently, Su Yunzhou continued to back away, eventually disappearing around a bend in the mountain path, leaving the two women with no sight of him. At that moment, three men leading a group of hundreds approached the two women. "I am Liu Bei, also known as Lu Xuanda. I am Guan Yu, known as Guan Yinchang. I am Zhang Fei, also referred to as Zhang Ida." The trio introduced themselves before the two girls, and within the context of the world of Dynasty Warriors, the presence of female warriors was hardly surprising. Thus, neither Qin Ruoxue nor the ponytail girl found Lu, Guan, and Zhang's appearance peculiar, especially since the train system had already prepared the way for the arrival of travelers from another realm. Qin Ruoxue, being well-versed in online culture, quickly adapted to this scenario. "I am Qin Ruoxue," she declared. The ponytail girl, somewhat flustered, mimicked Qin Ruoxue. "I am Yuli." Liu Bei, wielding a dual-edged sword, exuded an innate charm that was quite effective on men, though it had little impact on women. He was known for his famous saying, "Brothers are like hands and feet," though he refrained from reciting the entirety of it, wary of potential repercussions. "Might I ask, dear ladies, if you would lend Liu Bei your strength to eradicate the yellow turbans and protect the Han Dynasty?" The two women exchanged glances. While Qin Ruoxue had played Dynasty Warriors and was familiar with its lore, Yuli, the ponytail girl, found herself somewhat bewildered. She hails from a prestigious family, where indulging in classic literature, playing games, and navigating the internet are mere trifles. However, the crux of the matter lies in her extraordinary experiences. During her elementary years, she had the privilege of participating in educational excursions to the Arctic and Antarctic organized by her school. In middle school, she was a member of the student ensemble that performed songs at grand ceremonies in public squares. By high school, with minimal effort, she gained admission to elite institutions that others could only dream of entering. At 18, her family hosted a lavish graduation and coming-of-age celebration, costing upwards of $1 million, featuring performances by various celebrities and receiving gifts in the form of earrings worth at least $200,000. Before reaching the age of 20, she had already experienced horseback riding, golf, and marksmanship, and had traveled to numerous renowned landmarks around the globe, even scaling the world's highest peaks. For someone of her stature, to ask her to dedicate her precious time to reading Romance of the Three Kingdoms or playing Dynasty Warriors 5 seems rather implausible unless she harbors a genuine interest in the history of the Three Kingdoms. Of course, these events are merely occurrences in the world of Su Yunzhou's Blue Star, and any unfounded association should be avoided. Chapter 88. The War of Destiny cards. In contrast to Yuli's bewilderment, Qin Ruoxue's mind was racing at an incredible pace. Firstly, she had no intention of joining Liu Bei's army. Having played this game, she was acutely aware of the distinctions between the various factions. If she aimed for maximum benefit, she would undoubtedly align with the Yellow Turbans, as their chances of victory were virtually non-existent. However, this notion was swiftly quashed by a system notification. War Merit Point Exchange Store activated, killing Yellow Turbans, their leaders, and the three great generals will yield corresponding War Merit Points. War Merit Points can be exchanged for a variety of valuable rewards at the store. Thus, she had to abandon the idea of joining the Yellow Turbans. If she sought a more secure option, she would opt to follow the rear troops of Huangfu Song and Zhu Jun. Although the rewards might be considerably diminished, safety was paramount. She could not think of any compelling reason to choose Liu Bei's forces. As for Cao Cao's army, she had no affection for him, so that was out of the question. Ultimately, her choice fell upon Sun Jian's army. "I am a reinforcement for General Sunday. Please direct me to the location of General Sun Wentai's troops." So, he was one of the fierce generals of Jiangdong? Liu Bei smiled, promptly indicating a direction to Qin Ruoxue. In reality, the positions of Liu Bei's and Sun Jian's armies were not far apart. As for Yuli, she possessed her own pride and wished not to follow the crowd. Thus, she remained rooted in place and chose to join Liu Bei's forces. Meanwhile, after receiving the map provided by Liu Bei, Qin Ruoxue successfully aligned herself with Sun Jian's army. However, she was not the only one to join Sun Jian's ranks. At that moment, there were already 5 other commanders present. At the forefront stood an exceptionally towering figure, a robust man exceeding 2 meters in height, with formidable shoulders and a broad waist. The axe upon his back loomed taller than Qin Ruoshui herself. "I am Yang Meng, and I expect everyone to heed my command," he declared. As soon as the words left his lips, a dissenting voice emerged from the crowd, questioning, "Why should we?" Without engaging in further discourse, Yang Meng produced a card. Destiny card, War, type, unique concept quality, superior, effect 1, fate guidance, the quality evolve alongside the holder's level, advancing 1 tier every 10 levels. Effect 2, moment of battle. Upon activation, select one of 3 forms, offensive, defensive, or guerrilla, and receive special bonuses corresponding to the chosen form, lasting for 15 minutes with a cooldown of 48 hours. Effect 3, unknown, unlocks upon advancing to the next quality tier. Description: those who possess this card will be imbued with an unquenchable fervor for war and mastery over the art of conquest. Indeed, few who have reached the 2nd-tier platform as trained leaders are of ordinary merit. However, among those present, only Qin Ruoshui recognized this card. A memory sparked by Yi Feng's earlier demonstration of the Destiny card, breeding during the selection platform. Consequently, she understood that possessing a Destiny card does not directly correlate with one's strength. Even if one reached Yi Feng's level, having a Destiny card would not guarantee salvation. Nevertheless, it is undeniable that the Destiny card remains an exceptionally rare and powerful artifact, brimming with potential for growth. Thus, as the others beheld it, envy glimmered in their eyes, and they ceased their opposition to Yang Meng's leadership. They began to regard him as the preeminent figure among the trained leaders of Sun Jian's army. In contrast to Sun Jian's 6-member contingent, Liu Bei and Cao Cao's forces had each amassed 10 trained leaders, while 3 others had joined under Huangfu Song's command. As for the remaining individual, it is not difficult for you to surmise. Su Yinzhou, upon departing from the spawn point, ventured outward, swiftly distancing himself from the battlefield. Soon, he discovered a dilapidated house, desolate and empty. Yet, within this ruin lay a clean, pristine tiger talisman. He collected the talisman and proceeded toward a nearby tent. Inside the tent, several soldiers were stationed. Upon noticing Su Yinzhou, they refrained from immediate aggression and instead inquired, "Who goes there?" Without uttering a word, Su Yinzhou chose to present the tiger talisman. Instantly, the leading young officer knelt, exclaiming, "To see the talisman is to see the general. 200 elite flying bear troops await your orders." After a thorough inspection, Su Yinzhou confirmed that this tent marked the true edge of the map. He could no longer retreat from the battlefield. Thus, without further delay, he commanded, "Soldiers, follow me." Su Yinzhou, however, lacked the skill to ride a horse. In this realm, should one assume the identity of a general, the ability to ride a steed is automatically bestowed upon them. This skill, however, is transient, akin to a temporary buff. After locating a common black horse, Su Yinzhou led his troops back on the battlefield. At this moment, the Han army had already initiated their assault. A notification echoed in the ears of all trained commanders. Mission: lower the drawbridge. Objective: lower the drawbridge to allow Huangfu Song and Zhu Jun's main forces to penetrate the camp. Reward: earn varying points of military merit based on contribution. Lowering the drawbridge is not a daunting task. Yet players must first infiltrate the camp from both flanks before seizing control of the bridge. The distance is considerable, and the trained commanders cannot recklessly charge into the enemy lines as one might in a game. Thus, they must advance gradually alongside the main force. Yang Meng wielded a mighty axe, swinging it with the fury of a tempest. The yellow-turbaned soldiers were powerless against him, swiftly cleaved in half by his onslaught. However, after unleashing such a formidable area attack, he required a brief respite to recuperate his stamina. Qin Ruoshui observed the trained commanders, each brandishing their weapons, truly resembling ancient martial generals as they engaged the enemy soldiers in close combat. 3 question marks floated above her head. Was it possible that firearms were prohibited at this station? With that thought, she drew an AK-47 and unleashed a torrent of gunfire upon the advancing Yellow Turban army. The crisp sound of bullets echoed clearly amidst the cacophony of battle. All eyes, whether from the Han army, the Yellow Turban forces, or the trained commanders, were drawn to Qin Ruoshui. Her bullets, as if devoid of cost, rained down, claiming a yellow turban soldier with every 2 shots. Her military merit points continued to accumulate, incrementing steadily. This spectacle left the yellow turban soldiers dumbfounded. Monster! Devil! Run! They saw no arrows or crossbows, only an individual wielding a peculiar item that spat fire. Then, their comrades fell around them as if struck by a sudden ambush. This scene, far beyond their comprehension, dealt a severe blow to their morale. In contrast to Yang Ming, the battlefield's meat grinder, the inexplicable prowess of Qin Ruoshui instilled a deeper terror within them. Chapter 89. Missile strikes, capturing strongholds, lowering the drawbridge. No one can thwart the victory of the yellow sky. Just then, a towering figure, larger than the average soldier, burst forth from the yellow turban ranks. He stood notably taller than his comrades and was clad in superior armor. I am Guan Hai, commander of the yellow turbans. Guan Hai's gaze fixated on Qin Ruoshui, filled with ferocity as he brandished dual tridents and charged forward. With an air of calm, Qin Ruoshui merely adjusted the aim of her weapon towards the oncoming threat and continued to pull the trigger. With a rapid succession of gunfire, the bullets transformed Guan Hai into a sieve. He scarcely managed to approach within 10 meters of Qin Ruoshui before succumbing amidst the ranks of the yellow turban soldiers. Countless yellow turban foot soldiers fell beside him, their bodies and blood beginning to accumulate. Unlike the game, which lacked the depiction of blood and corpses, this world was starkly different. Bodies lay strewn about, and blood flowed freely. Meanwhile, Su Yunzhou, leading 200 cavalrymen, began to realize the grim reality. These corpses would not vanish. What a nightmarish scene it would be in the later stages of battle. Contemplating this, he directed his cavalry towards a nearby hillside. Su Yunzhou did not follow the main forces of the Han army. Instead, he approached the yellow turban encampment from both flanks. He sought a strategic incline. In Dynasty Warriors, the stronghold with the drawbridge was evidently situated at a lower elevation than its surroundings, allowing for a tactical maneuver akin to divine intervention. However, whether such a condition could be replicated in this world remained uncertain, as it had not been patched like a video game. At this moment, Su Yunzhou led his 200 men to the edge of slope. In the game, this incline would have been an insurmountable obstacle, nearly 75 degrees steep and rising 3 to 4 meters high. No one would have contemplated scaling such a height in the game. Yet this was reality. Dismounting, Su Yunzhou approached the slope and astonishingly began to ascend it step by step. First, the incline was only 75 degrees. Second, its surface was rugged and uneven. Most importantly, it stood only 6 or 7 meters tall. What does 6 or 7 meters signify? It was merely the height of 2 stories. Given his current physical condition, he could effortlessly leap 3 meters high. Under these circumstances, even if he were to fall while attempting the climb, he would not sustain any injuries. Thus, he boldly led his soldiers and began to scale the slope. His actions left the 200 cavalrymen bewildered. What was this new general attempting? Did he intend to climb? Were they supposed to follow him? He hadn't issued any orders. But what would happen to their steeds if they followed him up the slope? As the cavalrymen debated among themselves, the former commander of the Flying Bear Army, now Su Yunzhou's deputy, decided to follow him up the incline. Subsequently, one by one, the Flying Bear soldiers dismounted, eager to follow Su Yunzhou's lead. However, Su Yunzhou halted them. Only one person should come with me. The rest should proceed to General Huang Fusong's location and enter through the drawbridge with them. The deputy, who had climbed alongside him, was left somewhat at a loss. Nonetheless, this army was bound to obey Su Yunzhou's commands unconditionally. While they could not follow him to certain death, they were still willing to execute orders that appeared somewhat peculiar. Subsequently, this group of cavalry departed from sight, taking with them Su Yunzhou and the deputy commander's horses as they moved to rendezvous with Huang Fusong's forces. The deputy commander, following closely behind Su Yunzhou, stood upon the hillside, an expression of bewilderment etched upon his face. General, what shall we do next? With a gesture of his hand, Su Yunzhou pointed downhill, where the suspension bridge stronghold lay, guarded by over 100 yellow turban soldiers. Among them were 3 martial generals, Deng Mao, Gao Sheng, and Huang Shao. Our mission is to eliminate these yellow turban troops and subsequently lower the suspension bridge. The deputy commander swallowed hard, pointing first at Su Yunzhou and then at himself. You and I eliminate this group of yellow turban soldiers and lower the bridge? This is not a task for just the two of us, is it? Su Yinzhou waved his hand dismissively. You will lower the bridge while I handle the yellow turbaned soldiers. Stay behind. As he spoke, he retrieved a cruise missile cannon from his spatial backpack. Without aiming precisely, he fired it broadly in the direction of the stronghold. He was able to control the missile's flight path in real time through the accompanying display screen. As Su Yunzhou prepared the missile, the deputy commander stood frozen in disbelief. Is this still the Han dynasty? What is happening here? In a mere second, Deng Mao, taller than the other soldiers, was locked onto by the missile. Su Yunzhou chuckled lightly. It's time to take off. Boom! The explosion erupted, sending shockwaves of terror through all present. Such a thunderous roar was something they typically only heard during storms, truly a manifestation of divine wrath. Outside the suspension bridge, Huang Fusang's expression turned grave as he was taken aback. Many of the soldiers were visibly shaken by the blast, yet, as a general, he remained composed. What transpired over there at the bridge? Could it be the sorcery of Zhang Jiao at play? Beside him, a middle-aged man with a mustache furrowed his brow in concern. Unclear, but it is indeed possible. This man was none other than Zhu Jun Huangfu General. If Zhang Jiao has truly unleashed sorcery to prevent the bridge from descending, what shall we do? Huang Fusang's gaze remained serene. Then we have no choice. We cannot allow our forces to traverse the mountain paths into the camp. However, just after the first explosion, two more blasts echoed in quick succession, causing hearts to tremble with fear. They could see flames soaring from across the bridge, an energy wave unleashed by the explosions. With Zhang Jiao possessing such power, how can we possibly prevail? As Huang Fusang sensed the morale of his troops dwindling, he was astonished to find that the suspension bridge was gradually lowering. The stronghold had been blasted into 3 deep craters, with the yellow, turbaned soldiers scattered, their bodies mangled beyond recognition. Below the bridge, only 2 individuals remained, one fervently operating the mechanism to lower the bridge. Another individual stood resolutely with a blade in hand. Calm as still waters. You have vanquished a yellow turbaned soldier, earning 1 point of military merit. You have defeated the yellow turbaned stronghold captain, gaining 5 points of military merit. You have slain the yellow turbaned Deng Mao, acquiring 25 points of military merit. You have eliminated the yellow turbaned Huang Xiao, securing 25 points of military merit. You have triumphed over the yellow turbaned Gao Sheng, receiving 25 points of military merit. In the act of lowering the drawbridge, you contributed 100 points, obtaining 1,200 points of military merit. The above announcements were solely heard by Su Yinzhou. The following, however, was audible to all train commanders. Task: lower the drawbridge completed. Contribution ranking: 1. Su Yinzhou 100, 2. None. What? Yu Yoli was utterly astonished. At that moment, she was still following the Liu Bei army, heading toward the drawbridge. Liu Bei's forces comprised 10 train commanders, each possessing combat prowess comparable to that of a stronghold captain. If armed with firearms, their strength would rival that of top-tier generals. Yet, they were still making their way to the gates of Southeast Rock, and had yet to formally enter the encampment. Someone had already captured the drawbridge and lowered it. Moreover, it was accomplished solely by him. Chapter 90, Little Fire Dragon. Yu Yoli's shock was not unique. The other train commanders were equally perplexed. Only Qin Ruoshui, possessing some knowledge of the game Dynasty Warriors 5 and a deeper understanding of Su Yinzhou, contemplated the possibility. If it were that man, it would not be entirely implausible. She stroked her chin, her AK still unleashing firepower. Meanwhile, the other train commanders drew their firearms to assist Sun Jian's army in their advance. Naturally, they could not act as recklessly as Qin Ruoshui. Bullets were a precious commodity, yet they could not afford to stand idly by. If they watched this woman eliminate the Yellow Turban army unopposed, they would miss out on earning military merit points. With the military merit shop now open, they could see the enticing items available. The rewards were predominantly in the form of blind boxes, yet their value was considerable. A few examples include random excellent grade weapon, 200 points of military merit random perfect grade equipment, 500 points of military merit green treasure chest, 500 points of military merit blue treasure chest, 1,500 points of military merit. These redeemable military merit rewards stirred excitement among many train commanders. They had just progressed from the first tier station to the second, and most had never even glimpsed a green treasure chest. Yet here, They could exchange military merit points for a blue treasure chest. How could they not be tempted? This detestable Su Yunzhou, had he somehow activated a cheat? How did he directly complete the drawbridge task? They had yet to breach the defenses on either side. How had he managed to infiltrate the drawbridge stronghold? As I perused the map, I realized that the suspension bridge stronghold lies several kilometers away from us, and it is evident that Su Yunzhou has navigated through a throng of yellow turban soldiers. How on earth has he accomplished this? At that moment, Qin Ruoxue coldly interjects. Heavy firepower. Upon hearing this, the others are enlightened. Goodness, I genuinely believe those booming sounds were the sorcery of Zhang Jiao. So that it. It all makes sense now. Su Yunzhou is undoubtedly reveling in his fortune, and might even be on the verge of exchanging for a blue treasure chest. Enough of the envy. Let us not dawdle. If we delay, we may not even get a taste of the spoils. Su Yunzhou's audacity has ignited the fighting spirit among the other train captains. Many who initially intended to conserve their strength now realize that if they persist in this manner, their rewards at this station will be minimal. Qin Ruoxue surveys the battlefield and then draws forth an AK. Dual-wielding AKs, he is a force to be reckoned with. Meanwhile, Yang Meng lacks ranged capabilities, yet his melee prowess is nothing short of terrifying. The towering giant, wielding a massive axe, wreaks havoc on the battlefield as if it were a meat grinder. With each swing, a yellow turban soldier's head falls to the ground. Of course, such a style of combat carries immense risk. He must charge ahead, facing the fiercest assaults from the yellow turbans. However, Yang Meng remains undaunted. Araki, armored layer begins to manifest upon his skin, rendering the weapons of ordinary yellow turban soldiers nearly ineffective against him. Most importantly, this petrified skin grants him a bulwark effect, ensuring that even amidst the fray, he need not fear being overwhelmed by a swarm of yellow turbans. The Liu Bei army observes, 10 trained captains exchanging glances. Not far away, a burly man clad in green, wielding a great sword, plunges into the fray, carving a path of destruction. Who else could this be but Guan Yu? Goodness, Liu Bei's second brother truly is unmatched in the world. This is a severe setback. The achievements are being snatched away by NPCs. What shall we do? Shall we lie down in defeat? At least you, with your ranged abilities, may gather some spoils, but for us melee fighters, we may not even get a taste of the broth. At that moment, in the far corner of the group, Yoli's gaze sharpens. Having followed along thus far and eavesdropping on the others' conversations, she finally comprehends the existence of a merit shop. Let me see if I can access the merit shop. With her golden hair in twin ponytails and her petite stature compelling her to jog to keep pace with the larger group, her eyes gleam as she scans the items in the merit shop. So merit points are so valuable. Then I must hasten to slay some yellow turbans. The other train captains regard this ponytailed girl with incredulity. Little sister, have you just now realized this? I thought you were merely a bystander, passing the time. What could your small frame accomplish? Perhaps you should remain behind and avoid unnecessary peril. Yoli expressed her dissatisfaction, her voice laced with indignation. I am aware of my limitations, yet I possess considerable strength. Do not underestimate me. With that, she retrieved a small, red and white sphere from her satchel. Some among the crowd had already recognized the object. Go forth, little fire dragon. As Yoli hurled the sphere into the midst of the yellow turban army, a wave of astonishment swept over the onlookers. For indeed, a creature towering 2 meters, resembling Godzilla but adorned in the hues of a fire dragon, materialized before them. Is this truly a fire dragon? Is this how your fire dragon appears? Whose malevolent fire dragon is this? With a thunderous roar, the creature began to wreak havoc upon the yellow turban forces. A monster! A monster! Run! What manner of beasts are these warriors? Even Lord Zhang Jiao could not possibly wield such power, could he? The fire dragon let out a mighty bellow, unleashing a torrent of flames that incinerated the yellow turban soldiers, transforming them into charred remnants. Moreover, this fire dragon displayed remarkable prowess in close combat. As one of the sergeants attempted a sneak attack, the creature's tail swept him off his feet, subsequently snapping his head clean off with its gaping maw. The grotesque sound of crunching bones echoed ominously. At that moment, no one dared to belittle Yoli. In fact, no one even dared to approach her. This seemingly innocent girl was, in truth, a formidable force. Meanwhile, in Cao Cao's army, Zhuge Hong rode a white steed at the rear, observing the fierce clashes between Cao Cao's generals and the yellow turbans. Beside him was a youth clad in black attire, sporting frameless glasses, mounted on a black horse. Zhuge, brother, do you not feel that the difficulty of this station is rather trivial? Zhuge Hong pondered for a moment and nodded. You speak wisely, see, brother. However, he elaborated, in truth, my good fortune in arriving at this station is due to a special item that enhances my luck for the next station. The youth beside him, a strategist known as Sima E, agreed. It appears this station is of high quality, low in difficulty, but rich in rewards. Zhuge Hong nodded in agreement. In fact, there was one detail he had not disclosed, the presence of Su Yunzhou. In his estimation, as long as he could align himself with Su Yunzhou, even without tangible benefits, he would have a chance at survival. Thus, he felt assured regarding the station's challenges. Sima E continued, Zhuge, brother, have you heard of Su Yunzhou? He seems to be quite a remarkable individual. I have heard whispers, Zhuge Hong replied. After a brief pause, Zhuge Hong spoke again, expressing his concerns that their strategy might face unforeseen changes due to his appearance. Upon hearing this, Sima furrowed his brow. These tacticians, akin to train conductors, share a common trait, an unwavering reluctance to create enemies. Their combat prowess pales in comparison to that of warriors. Accumulating adversaries could spell disaster, particularly if they were to be matched against foes at a duel station. The situation demands immediate action. Huang Fusong and Zhu Jun rode up to Su Yunzhou's side. At this moment, the Han army was surging into the Yellow Turban's main camp across the suspension bridge. Many strongholds shifted allegiance from the Yellow Turbans to the Han due to the influx of troops. Once a stronghold falls into the hands of a particular faction, it subsequently refreshes the minions of that faction. This valiant warrior managed to seize the suspension bridge stronghold with merely 2 men, a feat of remarkable courage. Su Yunzhou, awaiting his 200 cavalry, engaged in conversation with the two, hoping to glean some intelligence. Huang Fusong stated that Zhang Jiao had employed sorcery to obstruct access to his command tent, necessitating the destruction of the altars on both the east and west flanks to dispel the enchantment. This was information Su Yunzhou was already aware of. I understand, but is it possible for us to encircle Zhang Jiao for 3 months, effectively starving him out? Zhu Jun chuckled softly. You think too highly of the situation. Given that Zhang Jiao wields sorcery, conjuring food would be a trivial task for him. Su Yunzhou frowned. If he has an abundance of provisions, why would he rebel? Wouldn't the common people have rallied to his cause by now? Huang Fusong and Zhu Jun exchanged glances, pondering the implications. Indeed, if Zhang Jiao possessed endless supplies, what need would he have for rebellion? What the Han? He might as well declare himself a son of the yellow sky. However, this left Huang Fusong momentarily perplexed. According to the established logic of Dynasty Warriors 5, a single game cannot extend beyond an hour and a half. Even extrapolated to reality, the maximum duration would not exceed 12 hours. The battlefield is limited, and neither side could muster forces beyond 9,999. How could a siege last 3 months? Su Yunzhou astutely recognized a flaw in this world's logic. Urgently, he called for the deployment of more troops to block the stairway leading to Zhang Jiao's tent, while simultaneously advancing reinforcements along the eastern and western routes. The Han army would completely encircle Zhang Jiao. From the map, 3 routes led to Zhang Jiao's location: east, middle, and west. The central route could directly assault Zhang Jiao's stronghold, confronting him face to face. Meanwhile, the eastern and western routes would inevitably encounter Zhang Liang and Zhang Bao, respectively, one fortified with fiery traps, the other guarded by elusive phantom soldiers. In the short term, breaching these defenses proved impossible. At that moment, Su Yunzhou's 200 flying bear troops had arrived by his side. After guiding the black horse, Su Yunzhou leaped onto it, bidding farewell to Huang Fusong and Zhu Jun, and continued deeper into the encampment. He first arrived at the central offensive route, where 7 or 8 trained conductors had already gathered. The reason for their presence was simple. Those who had played the game were aware of the offensive route, and thus came to witness what sorcery Zhang Jiao employed to block this path. Su Yunzhou, possessing the Eagle Eye 1 ability, clearly discerned the Group S existence. Eagle Eye 1 was derived from the long sight skill. Type, accessory glasses quality, superior, effect, vision range of 100 meters. If increased and still insufficient, It extends to 200 meters. The vision range is the farthest distance at which one can clearly see the letters on the top line of an eye chart. Description: in the clouds. Can our souls find their homeland? Though it seemed to merely extend vision by 100 meters, human sight inherently has its limitations. In the present circumstances, despite leading 200 men, the opposing side remained unaware of their presence, while Su Yunju had already spotted the group. Clearly, those who had managed to advance to this point were formidable individuals. He promptly commanded the 200 flying bear troops to stand by, while he proceeded alone to join the train conductors. In fact, he recognized several familiar faces. Qin Ruoshui was among them, as well as Zhuge Hong and Zhang Qilong. Out of the 7 individuals, he was acquainted with 3. Whether it was fate or mere chance, he could not tell. What is the situation now? Zhuge Hong asked upon seeing Su Yunju, a warm smile spreading across his face. Brother Su has arrived. Please come forward and take a look with us. Dismounting, Su Yunju approached the 7 men, facing the broad staircase leading to the high platform. The staircase stretched a full 100 meters wide, ascending to a platform several meters high. Due to the angle, Su Yunju could not discern the scene atop the platform. As he drew near, he felt a tremendous force of wind pushing against him, indicating that ascending was impossible. It seems going up is out of the question, Su Yunju remarked. Zhuge Hong nodded in agreement. Indeed, that is the case. Zhuge Hong, aren't you going to introduce us? Inquired a long-haired woman in a form-fitting black outfit, accentuating her slender waist. With a knife at her side and a whip in hand, Zhuge Hong quickly replied, Everyone, this is Su Yunju. He then introduced Su Yunju to each individual. We have only just met. He gestured towards the speaking woman. This is Tang Xiao Xiao. To his right stood a youth with a subtle smile, occasionally narrowing his eyes to scrutinize Su Yunju. This is Sima Yi, surname Sima, given name Yi. Further right was a burly man bearing a crossbow on his back, Zhang Qilong. Adjacent to him was a towering figure wielding a massive axe, Yang Ming, also a holder of the destiny card. Upon hearing this, Su Yunjiao could not help but cast another glance at the other party. Indeed, they appear to be at least more reasonable than Yi Feng. The last 2 individuals were a golden-haired, twin-tailed lowly beauty named Yi Liuli and a cold, long-haired beauty in combat attire named Qin Ruoshui. Having just parted ways with them, Su Yunjiao nodded in acknowledgement. The others, curious about Su Yunjiao, stole glances in his direction. It was evident that his recent achievement of conquering the suspension bridge with a contribution of 100 had piqued their interest. Yi Liuli unabashedly inquired, Did you single-handedly capture the suspension bridge? How did you manage that? I didn't even know where the suspension bridge was. Aren't you supposed to follow the main force? Upon hearing this, the others realized that this lowly not only had never played Dynasty Warriors 5, but also did not understand the basic necessity of acquiring maps. Had it not been for her possessing a formidable summon, she likely would not have qualified to stand there. Chapter 92. The Stairway of Gale. Upon hearing Yi Liuli's words, Su Yunjiao narrowed his eyes slightly. He suddenly felt that something was amiss. Could it be that this person had never played Dynasty Warriors 5 at all? Was it possible that she did not even know the fundamental operation of seeking maps from generals? If that were the case, it would indeed be quite perplexing. However, Su Yunjiao was disinclined to elaborate further, simply responding, It was merely good fortune, nothing significant. As soon as these words left his lips, none of the others believed him. Ironically, Yi Liuli took him at his word. To her, it seemed plausible that Su Yunjiao had indeed achieved such a feat purely by luck. After an awkward silence, it was Zhuge Hong who finally stepped forward. He recognized that continued internal strife was futile and immediately spoke up. Everyone, in my opinion, it will be best to reveal our unique skills. Let us not withhold any longer. We have all arrived here for our own reasons. If we cannot find a way to break through this wall of wind, then our presence here is merely a waste of time. As soon as he finished speaking, a woman named Tang Xiao Xiao let out a soft huff and revealed the half-cloak draped over her back. The edges of the cloak shimmered with a faint blue light, and in the next moment, she leapt into the air, her body gradually suspending itself. She halted at a height of 6 or 7 meters above the ground, evidently intending to ascend along the staircase. Yet, even while hovering above the steps, she could not move an inch. The invisible gale force remained firmly in her way. Ultimately, Tang Xiao Xiao could only return to the ground with a sigh, stating, at least within the range of 6 or 7 meters above the stairs, There exists a powerful wind barrier. In any case, I cannot fly over it. Zhang Qilong scratched his head and chuckled awkwardly. Well, I'm even more at a loss. I had initially planned to construct a tall aero platform to eliminate Zhang Jiao with a long-range shot, but it seems that is no longer feasible. Sima Yi, standing nearby, chuckled lightly, his tone laced with a hint of mockery. Your method was unworkable from the very beginning. The lofty staircase extends for dozens of meters from bottom to top. One must ponder how high a watchtower one needs to construct to reach Zhang Jiao. Zhang Qilong, undeterred by the retort, merely chuckled heartily, acknowledging, indeed, I have not given it due consideration. Please forgive my folly. It was at this moment that Yi Liuli, belatedly grasping the situation, realized that everyone was contemplating how to breach the wind barrier. Murmuring to herself that she should have mentioned it sooner, she reached into her satchel and produced a pokeball, tossing it aloft with a flourish. Go, Pidgey! In the astonished gaze of the other 7, a burst of white light erupted. A creature, with the head of a bird and the body of a man, adorned with vast wings, landed upon the ground. Its bizarre appearance was the epitome of strangeness, prompting the attendees to inwardly scoff. Is this a Cthulhu-inspired design? What brings it to this realm? Sima Yi coughed awkwardly twice, just as Pidgey slid across the ground, its wings flapping vigorously as it soared into the air. Under Yi Liuli's command, it ascended towards the staircase. But as it neared the wind barrier, a formidable gust forcefully repelled it. Yi Liuli furrowed her brow and urged, Pidgey, fly higher. Let's see if there are any gaps above. I refuse to believe that this wind can extend infinitely. Obediently, Pidgey ascended, quickly surpassing the height of Zhang Jiao's platform. Yi Liuli's expression brightened, and she commanded, fly towards the platform. However, mere seconds later, a blazing fireball suddenly shot forth from the platform, striking the airborne Pidgey with precision. Caw! Pidgey emitted a mournful cry, black smoke billowing from its wings as it flapped helplessly before plummeting to the ground. Witnessing the scene, Yi Liuli was nearly beside herself with anguish. Unlike the undead black cat, her companion required immediate medical attention upon injury. Otherwise, it might suffer lasting disabilities or, worse, succumb to infection. Treating a pet also entailed considerable expense. Observing the grim turn of events, the group collectively recognized that a direct assault on Zhang Jiao seemed futile. Sima Yi was the first to cast his gaze towards Su Yunzhou, with the others following suit. After all, if even Su Yunzhou could not devise a solution, it would seem they all might have to retreat in defeat. Yet, Su Yunzhou scratched his head and candidly remarked, actually, my method involves using ranged weapons to bypass the wind barrier and strike Zhang Jiao directly, but it appears I may have underestimated the situation. Upon hearing this, Sima Yi and Zhuge Hong exchanged knowing glances, a multitude of unspoken sentiments conveyed in that single look. Clearly, they perceived Su Yunzhou as a powerful individual lacking in strategic acumen. After all, how many could truly excel in both martial and intellectual pursuits? This realization opened up considerable leeway for their own plans. Everyone understood that the one who vanquished Zhang Jiao would undoubtedly reap abundant merit points. Thus, while their outward demeanor remained harmonious,